Konoha thinks they know Naruto, but they are dead wrong. What if the will of fire was actually a cover for the ultimate shadow broker? Imagine Sid Kageno reincarnated as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, hiding atomic power in plain sight. I've uncovered a secret connection that changes everything about the ninja world.
The moon hung red over Konoha the night Mizuki's betrayal reached its crescendo, and in that crimson light, the world would witness for the first time what true power looked like when wrapped in shadows. Naruto Uzumaki stood in the forest clearing, the forbidden scroll clutched against his chest, his blue eyes wide with manufactured terror as his former instructor approached with murder gleaming in his eyes. The academy dropout, the dead last, the boy everyone pitied or ignored, trembled like a leaf in the wind. "Please, Mizuki-sensei," Naruto whimpered, his voice cracking perfectly. "I don't understand. Why are you doing this?" Mizuki's laugh was sharp and cruel as he hefted a massive shuriken. "Because you're a fool, Naruto. You've always been a fool. That scroll contains forbidden techniques powerful enough to destroy villages, and you just handed it to me like the worthless dead last you are." Behind the mask of fear, behind the tears streaming down his face, Naruto Uzumaki smiled internally. This was it. This was the moment. The theatrical betrayal, the dramatic confrontation, the perfect setup for his grand entrance. Everything had aligned exactly as a proper story should. He'd orchestrated this entire scenario by accidentally overhearing Mizuki's whispered plans, by foolishly believing the lie about the scroll proving his worth, by playing the hapless pawn stumbling into danger. Reality was so much more entertaining when you treated it like theater. "The demon fox brat is going to die here," Mizuki continued, spinning the giant shuriken. "And I'll take that scroll and sell it to the highest bidder. Maybe Orochimaru will pay handsomely for Konoha's secrets." Orochimaru. The name sent a genuine thrill through Naruto's spine. The cult of Diablos had operations even in the great nations. He'd suspected as much when he'd intercepted those coded messages 3 months ago. This confirmed it. Mizuki was a cult operative, and tonight would be the first public demonstration of Shadow Garden's purpose. Well, semi-public. Witnesses were unacceptable for a shadow mastermind. "Please don't kill me," Naruto shrieked, stumbling backward. "I'm sorry. I'll give you the scroll. Just please." The shuriken left Mizuki's hand with lethal speed, spinning through the air toward Naruto's head with enough force to decapitate him. The academy instructor's face twisted with savage joy. Iruka Umino, bleeding from an earlier wound, screamed Naruto's name from where he'd collapsed against a tree. Time seemed to slow, the moon's red light deepened to crimson, and Naruto Uzumaki's lips curved into a smile. The air pressure changed. The temperature dropped 20 degrees in an instant. Purple energy erupted from Naruto's body like a contained nuclear explosion, swirling around him in streams of compressed magical power. The shuriken hit the barrier of energy and disintegrated into dust. The orange jumpsuit rippled, then dissolved into black liquid that flowed across Naruto's skin like living darkness, forming a sleek bodysuit that seemed to absorb light itself. Mizuki's expression transformed from triumph to absolute horror. What? What are you?" The boy, who'd been cowering seconds ago, now stood with perfect posture, one hand resting casually on the hilt of a sword that materialized from the black slime coating his body. His blue eyes had shifted to gleaming violet, glowing with compressed magical energy. The very shadows of the forest seemed to bend toward him, as if reality itself recognized its master. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of theatrical perfection. "The moon is red tonight." Naruto raised his gaze to the crimson orb above. How fitting, the color of blood, the color of carnage, the color of destiny. He looked back at Mizuki, and his smile was beautiful and terrible. "The frenzy has begun." "Impossible," Mizuki stammered, pulling kunai from his pouch with shaking hands. "You're just the dead last. You're nothing. How you're?" "I am the one who lurks in shadow," Naruto interrupted, his voice dropping to a resonant whisper that somehow carried through the entire clearing. "I am the power you fear when darkness falls. I am the truth behind your precious cult's lies." He drew his sword in one fluid motion, the blade formed entirely of compressed purple magic. "I am Shadow, and you, Mizuki, have made a grave miscalculation." The Chunin threw every kunai he had. Naruto didn't move. The weapon struck his slime armor and bounced off harmlessly, clattering to the ground like toys. Mizuki's eyes widened further as Naruto began walking toward him, each step measured and deliberate. "This isn't real," Mizuki breathed. "This can't be real. You're supposed to be weak. You're supposed to be—" "An act," Naruto said simply. "Theater. Every stumble, every failed test, every moment of apparent incompetence, all carefully crafted to keep eyes away from the truth." He tilted his head, studying Mizuki like an insect. "Did you really think someone could fail the academy graduation exam 3 times without doing it deliberately? Did you honestly believe I couldn't perform a simple clone jutsu?" From the shadows of the forest, 3 figures emerged silently. All wore black slime bodysuits identical to Naruto's, though each bore subtle design variations. The tallest, a young woman with long dark hair and a porcelain mask covering the upper half of her face, moved to stand at Naruto's right hand. Her presence radiated lethal grace. "Master Shadow," she said, her voice filled with reverent devotion. "Shall we handle this pest?" Naruto raised one hand, stopping her. "No, Alpha. This one is mine. You and the others maintain the perimeter. Ensure no civilians stumble upon this scene." "As you command." Alpha bowed deeply, along with her 2 companions, before all 3 vanished into the darkness with inhuman speed. Iruka, still conscious but unable to process what he was witnessing, could only watch in stunned silence as his dead last student transformed into something out of a nightmare. The chakra pressure alone was making it difficult to breathe. Mizuki made one last desperate attempt. He formed hand seals at blistering speed, gathering his chakra for his strongest technique. Wind style, great breakthrough. The massive gust of wind tore through the forest, uprooting trees and sending debris flying. It struck Naruto head-on with enough force to blow apart a stone wall. Naruto stood completely unmoved, his coat billowing slightly in the wind. He hadn't even bothered to brace himself. "Is that all?" His voice carried disappointment. "The Cult of Diablos sends such weak pawns? How underwhelming." "Cult of Diablos." Mizuki's confusion was genuine. "What are you talking about? I work alone. I just wanted money and—" "Money." Naruto's laugh was soft and cold. "Of course, you don't even know who you're truly working for. The cult uses pawns like you as disposable assets. Those coded messages you've been receiving, the contact who promised to buy the scroll, all threads in a greater web." He raised his sword. "But your thread ends here." Mizuki turned to run. He made it 3 steps before Naruto appeared directly in front of him, having crossed the distance faster than the eye could follow. The Chunin gasped, stumbling backward. "Shadow movement," Naruto explained casually. "One of the basic techniques. You wouldn't understand the principles behind it. Magic compression allows for momentary acceleration beyond what your primitive chakra system could achieve." "Magic?" Mizuki's voice cracked. "That's impossible. Magic doesn't exist in this world." "Doesn't it?" Naruto's smile widened. "How naive. Chakra is merely one manifestation of the energy that flows through all things. Magic is another, far more refined and concentrated. The cult knows this. They've been hoarding magical knowledge for centuries, corrupting it, using it to enslave people through something they call curse possession." His eyes gleamed. "But I've learned to purify it, to perfect it, to become its master." Mizuki's mind fractured under the weight of revelations he couldn't comprehend. "You're insane. You're just a child playing pretend." "Perhaps," Naruto admitted cheerfully, "but I'm the child with absolute power. You're just a supporting character in my story." He raised his sword high. "And every good story needs to trim the excess." The blade came down. There was no dramatic clash, no final exchange of techniques. Mizuki's body simply ceased to exist. The sword of compressed magic didn't cut him so much as erase him from reality, reducing flesh and bone to atoms that scattered on the wind. Not a drop of blood touched the ground. Not a scrap of evidence remained. Naruto sheathed his sword and let the black slime coating dissolve. Within seconds, he was back in his orange jumpsuit, looking like an ordinary 12-year-old boy. He carefully arranged himself on the ground near the forbidden scroll, eyes closed, breathing steady. The perfect victim. From his position against the tree, Iruka finally found his voice. "Naruto, what? What was that?" But the boy didn't respond. He lay perfectly still, playing unconscious, waiting for the Anbu who would surely arrive soon. Let them find the scene. Let them wonder what happened. Let them see the destruction and attribute it to some unknown force. The shadow mastermind never took credit for his work in public. That was the beauty of it. Alpha watched from her position in the trees, her heart swelling with devotion as she observed her master's perfect performance. Even now, after the battle, he maintained his role flawlessly. She remembered the night he'd found her, dying and alone, her body ravaged by the curse that turned people into monsters. She'd been nothing but rotting flesh, her chakra system corrupting itself from within, death inevitable and close. And then he'd appeared. A 6-year-old boy with eyes far older than his body, examining her clinical detachment that somehow felt warmer than any pity. His hands had glowed with purple light as he'd placed them on her corrupted flesh, and she'd felt the curse burning away, the magic flowing through her system and purifying it, reconstructing her cell by cell until she'd gasped her first clean breath in months. "You've been suffering from curse possession," he'd said matter-of-factly. "The cult of Diablos uses it to control people, turning them into weapons or slaves. The corruption is irreversible by normal means, but magic can purify it if applied correctly." She'd stared at him with wide eyes. Who are you?" "I am Shadow," he'd replied, helping her sit up. "And you, I think, shall be Alpha, the first member of Shadow Garden." Shadow Garden? An organization dedicated to destroying the cult from the shadows. They operate in darkness, so we must become darker still. They hide their machinations, so we must become better at hiding. He'd smiled then, a smile that made her chest tight. "We will be the power they never see coming. We will hunt them relentlessly. We will become the nightmare they fear when they close their eyes." She'd pledged herself to him that night, swearing eternal loyalty to the boy who'd saved her life and given her purpose. In the months that followed, he trained her in magic compression, in combat techniques beyond anything she'd learned before, in the arts of subterfuge and assassination. He'd given her strength beyond imagination, and she'd fallen completely, utterly, hopelessly in love with him. Not that she'd ever tell him. Master Shadow saw her as his loyal second-in-command, his first and most trusted follower. That was enough. To stand at his side, to witness his overwhelming power, to serve his grand purpose. That was everything she needed. She watched as Anbu operatives dropped into the clearing, their hawk masks gleaming in the moonlight. They immediately began securing the area, checking on Iruka, examining the unconscious Naruto. One of them picked up the forbidden scroll carefully. "Iruka-sensei, what happened here?" the Anbu squad leader asked. Iruka struggled to form words. How could he explain what he'd witnessed? Who would believe him? The dead last student transforming into some kind of demon? Mizuki being erased from existence? The impossible pressure of foreign energy? "Mizuki," he finally said. "Mizuki betrayed the village. He tried to steal the scroll and kill Naruto. There was an explosion. Some kind of technique. I don't know. Everything happened so fast." The Anbu examined the area, noting the destroyed trees, the scorch marks, the strange residual energy. "We'll need to investigate further. Medical team, get these two to the hospital." As they lifted Naruto's unconscious form onto a stretcher, Alpha smiled behind her mask. Perfect. The story would spread that something mysterious happened in the forest, but no one would connect it to Naruto Uzumaki. The dead last would wake up confused, claiming he didn't remember anything after opening the scroll. And Shadow would remain hidden, pulling strings from darkness, just as Master planned. 3 days later, Naruto Uzumaki graduated from the academy with the lowest scores in his class. The Hokage made a special exception, citing his bravery during the Mizuki incident. Naruto played his part perfectly, grinning like an idiot, pumping his fist in the air, declaring that he'd become Hokage someday. Everyone smiled and congratulated him, most with a hint of pity in their eyes. Poor Naruto. So enthusiastic despite his lack of talent. Team assignments were posted the next morning. Naruto scanned the list with apparent excitement, though internally he'd already hacked into the records and known for weeks. Team 7. Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, under Jonin Commander Kakashi Hatake. The rookie teams gathered in the academy classroom, buzzing with energy. Sasuke sat alone by the window, radiating his usual superiority. Sakura gushed over him from across the room. The other students chatted nervously about their new assignments, and Naruto sat in his seat, playing with a kunai clumsily, letting it slip through his fingers and clatter to the floor repeatedly. "Naruto, you're so clumsy!" Sakura shouted. "How did you even graduate?" Naruto scratched his head sheepishly. "Hey, sorry, Sakura-chan. I'll get better, I promise." Sasuke didn't even acknowledge his existence. Perfect. Completely dismissed as irrelevant. Exactly as planned. That night, Shadow Garden convened in their underground base beneath an abandoned warehouse in Konoha's merchant district. The hideout was one of 5 scattered throughout the village, each equipped with training facilities, intelligence archives, and magical research labs. Naruto had spent 6 years building this network, using his pranks as cover to map every hidden tunnel and forgotten basement in Konoha. Alpha knelt before his throne-like chair, her head bowed. "Master Shadow, the cult's activities in the Land of Waves concern me. Our intelligence suggests they're funding the criminal Gado to destabilize the region." Naruto sat perfectly still, fingers steepled, his face hidden in shadow. Around him, 3 other young women knelt in identical poses. He'd found each of them the same way he'd found Alpha, dying from cursed possession, abandoned by a world that didn't understand their condition. Beta, with her wild red hair and analytical mind. Gamma, with her strategic genius despite her physical clumsiness. Delta, with her savage combat instincts and absolute loyalty. His Shadow Garden, his devoted followers who'd sworn their lives to his cause, and they had no idea that he'd originally invented the cult of Diablos as an elaborate role-play scenario. When he'd found Alpha dying in the snow 6 years ago, he'd been a child prodigy, reincarnated from another world, blessed with memories of a life where he'd obsessed over becoming the ultimate power in the shadows. He'd expected a fantasy world with demons and magic. Instead, he'd gotten ninjas and chakra, but he'd adapted. He'd noticed patterns in the world, children disappearing, secret organizations operating in the dark, strange experiments. So he'd created a narrative to explain it all. The cult of Diablos, an ancient organization seeking to control the world through corrupted magic. He'd invented the concept of cursed possession to explain the chakra corruption he'd found in dying children. It was all supposed to be an elaborate game, a way to make this world more interesting, except it kept being real. Every time he investigated a cult operation, he found actual conspiracies. When he mentioned the cult's supposed goal of gathering Jinchuriki, he discovered Akatsuki actually existed and was doing exactly that. When he theorized about Root being a cult branch, he stumbled onto actual evidence of Danzo's shadow organization. His completely fabricated story kept aligning perfectly with reality. It was hilarious. It was perfect. It was everything he dreamed of. "The Land of Waves," Shadow said, his voice resonant and commanding. "Yes, Gado's shipping empire provides the perfect cover for illegal activities, weapons smuggling, human trafficking, curse research." He stood slowly, his black coat flowing. "And if my intuition is correct, Orochimaru's involvement with Mizuki suggests the cult has infiltrated even the great nation's leadership. This goes deeper than we imagined." Beta furiously scribbled notes in her journal. Every word Master Shadow spoke was profound wisdom that needed to be recorded for future generations. Her devotion to chronicling his brilliance knew no bounds. "Master," Gamma said hesitantly, "if you're assigned to a mission in Wave Country, what should Shadow Garden do?" Naruto turned to the window, moonlight casting his face in dramatic shadows. "You will maintain surveillance from the darkness. Do not interfere unless absolutely necessary. My cover as Naruto Uzumaki must remain intact. The dead last cannot suddenly demonstrate competence." "But Master," Alpha protested softly, "serving on a Genin team will limit your movements. How will you operate as Shadow?" He smiled. "Theater requires audience, Alpha. What better audience than a skilled Jonin and 2 fellow Genin? Every mission is an opportunity to gather intelligence while maintaining my cover. Besides," his eyes gleamed violet, "if the cult truly operates in Wave, they will make their move, and when they do, Shadow will be waiting." The 4 women shivered with delight at his confident tone. Master Shadow's plans were always flawless. His intelligence was beyond comprehension. He saw connections and patterns no one else could perceive. If only they knew he was mostly improvising. Team 7's first meeting was scheduled for 5 in the morning, on the academy rooftop. Naruto arrived at exactly 5, playing his role perfectly. He'd overslept, but somehow still made it on time, arriving out of breath and disheveled. Sasuke was already there, arms crossed, looking annoyed. Sakura arrived minutes later, immediately fawning over the Uchiha. They waited, and waited, and waited. 3 hours later, Kakashi Hatake appeared in a swirl of leaves, his visible eye curved in a smile. "Yo, sorry I'm late. A black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way." "You're late!" Sakura shrieked. Naruto observed his new sensei carefully behind his mask of irritation. Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja, former Anbu, son of the White Fang, a man carrying deep trauma and guilt, hiding behind a facade of laziness and tardiness. Interesting. They had more in common than anyone knew. Anyway, Kakashi continued, pulling out a small bell. "Let's do introductions first. Tell me your name, likes, dislikes, dreams for the future. You first, Pinky." Sakura went first, gushing about Sasuke. Sasuke went second, speaking only of revenge against his brother. Then it was Naruto's turn. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki," he declared with exaggerated enthusiasm. "I like ramen, especially from Ichiraku. I dislike the 3 minutes it takes for the ramen to cook, and my dream is to become Hokage so everyone will acknowledge me." Kakashi's visible eye betrayed nothing, but Naruto could sense the Jonin's assessment. Energetic, simple-minded, attention-seeking. Exactly what Naruto wanted him to think. "Okay," Kakashi said. "Tomorrow at 5 a.m., we'll have a survival exercise. Don't eat breakfast or you'll throw up. Oh, and the pass rate for this exercise is about 66%. "Wait," Sakura said, "but there are only 3 of us. How can it be 66%? Kakashi's eye curved into a smile again. "Exactly." He vanished in another swirl of leaves, leaving 3 confused genin on the rooftop. That night, Shadow Garden mobilized. Alpha led Beta and Gamma through Konoha's underground tunnels, gathering intelligence on Kakashi Hatake's training methods and history. They needed every advantage they could provide Master Shadow, even if he told them not to interfere. Delta remained behind at headquarters, sparring with training dummies and imagining each one was an enemy of Shadow. She lived for combat, for the opportunity to serve her master through violence. Soon, she hoped, there would be actual enemies to fight. Meanwhile, Naruto sat in his apartment studying scrolls on advanced chakra control while simultaneously compressing magic into intricate patterns. His apartment was a carefully maintained disaster. Ramen cups everywhere, clothes scattered randomly, training equipment strewn about. Anyone who saw it would think he was a slob. They wouldn't notice the advanced ceiling arrays hidden beneath the mess, the magical barriers protecting the space, or the secret room behind the bathroom wall containing his shadow equipment and intelligence archives. His life was a performance. Every moment, every action, every word carefully calibrated to maintain the perfect cover, and he loved every second of it. The bell test began at dawn. Team 7 gathered at Training Ground 3, minus Kakashi, who was predictably late again. When he finally arrived 2 hours later, he produced 2 small bells from his pocket. "Your task is simple," he explained. "Take these bells from me before noon. Anyone who fails gets tied to those posts and watches while the others eat lunch." Naruto processed the test's true purpose instantly. Teamwork evaluation, testing ability to work together despite individual goals, identifying who prioritizes mission over personal glory. Standard Jonin assessment, he'd fail it spectacularly. "Ready, go!" Sasuke and Sakura immediately vanished into the surrounding forest. Naruto stood there, hands on his hips, staring at Kakashi with a huge grin. "Aren't you going to hide?" Kakashi asked, pulling out an orange book. "Nah," Naruto declared. "I'll beat you head on, believe it." He charged forward with a wild yell, throwing a punch with terrible form. Kakashi sidestepped easily, stuck his fingers in a seal and poked Naruto's rear. 1,000 years of death! Naruto rocketed into the air with a yelp, crashing into a tree. He slid down comically, seeing stars. Kakashi chuckled. "Maybe you should try a different approach." Naruto groaned, struggling to his feet. That really hurt." Behind his pained expression, he was analyzing Kakashi's movement patterns, reaction times, chakra flow. The Jonin was skilled but not at full alertness. He was holding back tremendously, treating this as a game. Good. That made the performance easier. For the next hour, Naruto provided comic relief. He fell into obvious traps. He triggered every alarm. He announced his location constantly. He threw kunai that somehow curved back toward himself. It was a masterclass in controlled incompetence. Sasuke, meanwhile, demonstrated actual skill. He engaged Kakashi directly with taijutsu and shuriken techniques, forcing the Jonin to take him somewhat seriously. But ultimately, Kakashi's experience overwhelmed him, and the Uchiha found himself buried up to his neck in dirt. Sakura proved utterly useless, fainting when caught in a genjutsu. When noon arrived, no one had obtained a bell. Kakashi surveyed his students with disappointment. "You all fail." "What?" Sasuke growled from his dirt prison. "None of you understood the purpose of this exercise. You prioritized individual achievement over teamwork. In the ninja world, those who abandon the mission are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. However, I'm going to give you one more chance this afternoon, but Naruto, since you were particularly useless, you don't get lunch." He tied Naruto to a post and set out lunchboxes for Sasuke and Sakura. "Don't feed him," Kakashi warned, "or you all fail." Then he disappeared, though Naruto could sense him hiding nearby, watching. The setup was perfect. Would Sasuke and Sakura share their food with the tied-up teammate, defying their sensei's orders to demonstrate the true lesson about valuing comrades? Sasuke stared at his lunchbox, then at Naruto, then at Sakura. "I'll share mine," he said finally, holding out food to Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened in genuine surprise. In the original world, he remembered vaguely from dreams. Sasuke had been cold and distant. This version seemed slightly different. Interesting. "Me too," Sakura added quickly. Just as Naruto opened his mouth to accept, Kakashi appeared in a swirl of leaves and killing intent. His visible eye narrowed. You pass!" The three genin stared at him in confusion. Kakashi's eye curved into a smile. "You put your teammate before the rules. That's exactly what I wanted to see. In the ninja world, teamwork is everything. You three are now officially Team 7. Naruto celebrated with exaggerated joy, pumping his fist and cheering. Inside, he noted the lesson carefully. So Konoha valued comrades above mission parameters, at least in theory. That aligned with his understanding of the village's philosophy. It also meant opportunities for manipulation. If he could position himself as the weak link that others felt compelled to protect, they'd never suspect his true nature. Perfect. The following weeks consisted of D-rank missions that tested Naruto's patience more than any combat could. Catching cats, pulling weeds, painting fences, walking dogs, retrieving lost items. The monotony was excruciating, but Naruto played his part flawlessly. He complained loudly. He screwed up simple tasks. He turned every mission into chaos through sheer incompetence. At night, Shadow Garden expanded operations. They'd identified 3 root facilities in Konoha, 2 Akatsuki information networks in nearby towns, and 17 individuals suffering from cursed possession throughout Fire Country. Alpha led rescue operations for the cursed victims, while Beta compiled intelligence on Danzo's movements. The cult of Diablos' web grew clearer every day, and Shadow prepared to strike. The moment Team 7's dynamics shifted came during their 17th D-rank mission. A wealthy merchant's daughter had been receiving threatening letters, and Team 7 was assigned bodyguard duty. Simple, boring, exactly the kind of mission where Naruto could shine at being useless, except when they arrived at the merchant's estate, Naruto sensed something wrong. The chakra signatures inside the building felt off. Too controlled, too focused. These weren't normal civilians. "Kakashi-sensei," Sakura said nervously. "This seems like more than a D rank." "Probably just paranoid rich people," Kakashi replied, though his hand drifted toward his kunai pouch. He felt it too. They entered the estate to find the merchant and his family tied up in the main hall. 5 missing men surrounded them, weapons drawn. The leader, a tall man with a scarred face, grinned at Team 7. "Thanks for coming, Leaf Ninja. The bounty on a Sharingan user is quite high. We'll be taking the Uchiha now." Sasuke tensed. Sakura screamed. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed dangerously, and Naruto fell on his face, tripping over absolutely nothing. "Ow!" he whined. "Kakashi-sensei, they look scary!" "Pathetic," the leader muttered. "Kill the dead last first. He's worthless." 2 missing nin moved toward Naruto with drawn swords. Kakashi moved to intercept, but the other 3 engaged him simultaneously, forcing him to focus on protecting Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto scrambled backward on his hands and knees, tears streaming down his face. Please don't hurt me. I'm sorry. I'll give you my wallet. The missing nin laughed, raising their blades. Then the lights went out. The estate plunged into absolute darkness. Someone had cut the power, and in the sudden blackness, screams erupted. Not Naruto screams, not Team 7 screams, the missing nin screams. When Kakashi managed to generate light with a fire jutsu 10 seconds later, the scene had transformed. The two ninja who'd approached Naruto were unconscious, their bodies bearing precise pressure point strikes that Naruto couldn't possibly know how to execute. The merchant and his family had been freed from their bonds, and Naruto stood in the corner, cowering behind a decorative vase. What happened? Kakashi demanded. I don't know, Naruto wailed. Everything went dark and there was fighting and I just hid. Did you save everyone, Kakashi-sensei? You're so cool. The Jonin studied the scene carefully. The knockout strikes were professional, precise, not something a genin should be capable of. The timing was too perfect, and yet Naruto stood there looking terrified and useless. Everyone stay sharp, Kakashi ordered, engaging the remaining 3 missing nin with lethal efficiency. Sasuke watched Naruto from the corner of his eye. Something felt wrong. For just a moment in that darkness, he'd sensed movement from Naruto's direction. Fast, controlled, utterly unlike the clumsy dead last they knew. But when he looked now, Naruto was just hiding and whimpering. Had he imagined it? The mission ended with all 5 missing nin captured. The Hokage praised Team 7's success and upgraded them to C rank clearance. Kakashi filed a report noting the suspicious circumstances, but without evidence, he couldn't prove anything. That night, Alpha met Shadow in their headquarters. Master, she said, kneeling. Interfering in your mission today was risky. Shadow stood by the window, moonlight casting his face in dramatic angles. It was necessary. The cult sent those ninjas specifically to test us. They wanted to see how Team 7 would respond to danger. He turned to her, eyes gleaming. Now they know we have a mysterious protector. They'll investigate, they'll search, and they'll find nothing but shadows. Your wisdom is infinite, Alpha breathed, her heart racing. Even covered in his black slime suit, even with his face hidden, Master Shadow was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. The Land of Waves mission will come soon, Shadow continued. I can feel it. The threads are aligning. Gato, Zabuza, the bridge builder, all pieces on the board. The cult's operations in Wave are extensive. This will be our first major confrontation with their forces. We'll be ready, Master. I know you will, Alpha. He placed a hand on her shoulder, and she nearly melted. You are my blade in the darkness, my first and most loyal shadow. Trust in our purpose. She wanted to tell him everything. How much she loved him, how she'd die for him without hesitation, how every moment away from him felt empty. But she swallowed the words and simply nodded. Always, Master Shadow. The C-rank mission briefing came 2 weeks later. Tazuna, a bridge builder from the Land of Waves, needed escort back to his country to complete a bridge that would break the shipping monopoly of a businessman named Gato. Simple protection detail. Low risk, the Hokage assigned Team 7. Naruto barely contained his excitement as they met Tazuna at the village gates. The old man reeked of cheap alcohol and looked at the Genin team with obvious disappointment. These are the ninja protecting me? A bunch of kids? Don't worry, Kakashi assured him. We're more than capable for a C-rank mission. They set out toward Wave Country. Following the main road through Fire Country's forests, Naruto maintained his oblivious persona, chattering about ramen and his dreams of becoming Hokage. Sasuke walked in brooding silence. Sakura fussed over the Uchiha while occasionally scolding Naruto for being loud. Perfect normalcy, except Naruto had already detected the 2 Chunin-level chakra signatures following them from the trees. He'd sensed them since leaving Konoha. The Demon Brothers, if his intelligence was correct. Mid-level cult assassins working for Zabuza Momochi, the attack came at a puddle on the road. It was subtle, a large puddle despite no recent rain, positioned perfectly for an ambush. Kakashi walked past it without reaction. So did Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto walked straight through it, splashing water everywhere. The moment the team passed, 2 ninja erupted from the puddle, razor chain wrapped around Kakashi. They pulled, and the Jonin's body shredded into pieces. Sakura screamed. The Demon Brothers turned toward Tazuna, their chains spinning. Sasuke moved to intercept, but they were fast, already past him. targeting the bridge builder directly. Naruto stood frozen, eyes wide with terror. Kakashi-sensei! The chains wrapped around Tazuna's throat. Then Sasuke arrived, kunai flashing, pinning the chains to a tree. The Uchiha moved with impressive speed, engaging both brothers simultaneously with taijutsu. He was skilled for a genin, Naruto noted. The Uchiha legacy showed itself clearly, but the demon brothers were chunin level. Sasuke would lose without help. Right on cue, Kakashi appeared from the trees, having substituted himself with a log before the attack. He struck both brothers from behind with precise blows, knocking them unconscious in seconds. Good work, Sasuke, Kakashi said, binding the attackers. Though I'm disappointed you didn't check on Naruto or Sakura first. Sasuke scowled but said nothing. Kakashi turned to Tazuna with a hard eye. This was supposed to be a C-rank mission. These are Chunin level ninja. You lied about the danger level, which means this is at least B rank. The bridge builder sweated nervously. I couldn't afford a higher rank mission. Gato has taken everything from Wave Country. We have nothing left. We should return to Konoha, Sakura said. This is too dangerous. Naruto watched the exchange with apparent confusion, but internally he was pleased. Everything was proceeding perfectly. Kakashi would choose to continue the mission despite the danger, because that's who Kakashi Hatake was, a man who couldn't abandon people in need. We'll continue, Kakashi decided, but stay alert. There may be more enemies ahead. They pressed on toward Wave Country. Naruto sensed Alpha watching from the distant trees, maintaining overwatch as he'd ordered. Good. She'd ensure no unexpected variables interfered with his performance. They reached the coast and took a small boat across the water, fog rolling in thick and heavy. The atmosphere was perfect, ominous, mysterious, setting the stage for the next act. And Naruto knew exactly who waited in that fog. Zabuza Momochi appeared on the water like a phantom, his massive executioner's blade resting on his shoulder. The fog thickened until visibility dropped to mere feet. Kakashi immediately moved between Team 7 and the missing nun, pulling up his headband to reveal his Sharingan. Well, Zabuza's voice echoed through the mist. Kakashi of the Sharingan, this is unexpected, and here I thought this would be easy. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi replied calmly. Former member of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist, you're way out of the league for a C-rank mission. Nothing personal, Zabuza said, but Gato pays well, and the old man needs to die. The battle erupted with shocking speed. Zabuza's water clone surrounded Team 7, forcing Kakashi to engage multiple opponents simultaneously. Sasuke and Sakura protected Tazuna while Naruto cowered behind them. I'm scared, Naruto whimpered. That guy is huge! Shut up and stay back! Sakura shouted. Kakashi destroyed the water clones and engaged Zabuza directly, their taijutsu exchange creating shockwaves across the water. The Jonin Sharingan tracked every movement, copying technique after technique. Then Zabuza performed his signature jutsu, water style, water prison jutsu. A sphere of water materialized around Kakashi, trapping him completely. Zabuza's hand remained connected to the prison, holding it stable. I can't move inside this technique, Kakashi said grimly. You three, take Tazuna and run. Zabuza created a water clone that stepped toward the Genin team. Running won't help. I'll hunt you down one by one. Sasuke gritted his teeth, forming hand seals. Sakura trembled. Tazuna looked terrified, and Naruto turned and ran. Naruto! Sakura screamed. You coward! I'm sorry! Naruto's voice echoed back through the fog. I can't do this! I'm too scared! He vanished into the thick mist, leaving his team behind. Sasuke's expression hardened with disgust. So the dead last was exactly what everyone said, useless when it mattered. He'd have to handle this himself. Deep in the fog, Naruto stopped running. His frightened expression melted away, replaced by a smile of pure theatrical delight. This was it. This was the moment he'd been waiting for. The orange jumpsuit rippled, black slime flowed across his skin, forming his signature bodysuit. His hair darkened slightly, gaining violet highlights. The blade materialized at his hip, compressed magic humming with power. Shadow stepped onto the water's surface, each footstep creating perfect circular ripples. From the distant tree line, Alpha watched with breathless anticipation. Master Shadow was about to make his entrance. She gripped her sword tightly, fighting the urge to join him. This was his moment. His theater. She wouldn't dare steal it. Zabuza's water clone advanced on Sasuke and Sakura. The Uchiha launched kunai and shuriken, but they passed through the watery body harmlessly. Sakura could barely stand, paralyzed by fear. Pathetic, Zabuza's clone said. Leaf Genin really are. Footsteps echoed through the mist, slow, deliberate, measured. Everyone froze. The footsteps continued, rhythmic and purposeful, coming from deeper in the fog. Zabuza's real body tensed, his free hand moving toward a kunai while maintaining the water prison. A figure emerged from the white veil, black bodysuit that seemed to absorb light. Violet eyes glowing with compressed energy, a presence that made the very air feel heavier. The newcomer walked on water as if it were solid ground, hands casually in his pockets. Who? Zabuza started. You hide in the mist, the figure said, his voice carrying theatrical resonance. How fitting. Concealing yourself in vapor, striking from invisibility, treating battle as a game of cat and mouse. He raised his gaze, and even through the fog, his violet eyes gleamed. But you misunderstand something fundamental. He spread his arms wide. I am the mist. The fog swirled around him as if responding to his command. Zabuza's water clone lunged forward, blade swinging. Shadow didn't move until the last possible instant, then tilted his head slightly. The blade passed millimeters from his face. Shadow caught the clone's wrist with one hand. Slow, he twisted. The clone's arm shattered like ice, water splashing everywhere. Dull. He placed his other hand on the clone's chest. Weak. Purple energy erupted. The water clone exploded into steam, evaporating completely. Zabuza's eyes widened behind his mask. What was that? Magic compression, Shadow explained casually, concentrating energy to its absolute limit and releasing it in controlled bursts. Your water constructs are held together by chakra. Magic disrupts that binding at the molecular level. He turned his attention to the real Zabuza, still maintaining the water prison around Kakashi. You have 3 seconds to release the copy ninja. You're bluffing, Zabuza growled. You're just some weird kid in a costume. Ow. Shadow appeared directly in front of him. Zabuza hadn't seen him move. One moment the figure was 50 feet away. The next instant, he was within arm's reach, so close Zabuza could see the violet energy crackling around his body. 3, Shadow said softly. Zabuza swung the executioner's blade with all his strength. The massive sword, capable of cleaving through rock, descended towards Shadow's head with lethal force. Shadow caught it. With one finger, the blade stopped dead, unable to move forward or backward. Zabuza strained with both hands, muscles bulging, but the sword wouldn't budge. Shadow held it casually on his index finger, as if the 7-foot blade weighed nothing. 2. Panic flashed in Zabuza's eyes. He released the sword and leaped backward, forming hand seals at blinding speed. Water style, water dragon jutsu. A massive dragon of water erupted from the ocean, roaring as it launched toward Shadow. The technique was A rank, capable of destroying buildings. The water dragon's maw opened wide to consume him. Shadow didn't move. The dragon's teeth closed around him. The entire water construct surged forward, carrying tons of pressurized water. Then it froze. The water dragon stopped mid-motion, suspended in the air. Shadow stood at its center, one hand raised, purple energy forming a barrier that held back the entire jutsu effortlessly. 1. He clenched his fist. The water dragon shattered like glass, fragments raining down into the ocean. Zabuza stumbled backward, genuinely frightened now. This wasn't possible. This level of power shouldn't exist. Who are you? He demanded. Shadow kicked off the water's surface, moving so fast he seemed to teleport. His foot connected with Zabuza's chest before the swordsman could react. The impact sent Zabuza rocketing backward, crashing through 3 trees before finally stopping. Embedded in the 4th, the water prison around Kakashi collapsed as Zabuza lost concentration. The Jonin fell to his knees, coughing up water, his Sharingan spinning as he tried to process what he just witnessed. Shadow walked slowly towards Zabuza's crashed position, each step deliberate. The fog parted around him naturally, as if nature itself recognized his authority. Zabuza struggled to his feet, ribs broken, breathing labored. What are you? I'm the one who walks in shadow, Shadow replied, his voice echoing with theatrical perfection. I'm the blade that strikes from darkness. I'm the truth your precious cult fears to acknowledge. He stopped 10 feet from Zabuza, tilting his head. And you, Zabuza Momochi, are a pawn who doesn't even know the game being played. Cult? Zabuza coughed blood. What cult? I work for Gato because he pays. Gato is funded by the cult of Diablos. They use his shipping empire to move cursed individuals and forbidden artifacts. You've been their hired blade, killing anyone who threatens their operations in Wave Country. Shadow's eyes gleamed. Did you never wonder why Gato specifically wanted the bridge destroyed? Why this particular project threatened him so much? Zabuza said nothing, but his expression showed uncertainty. The bridge would enable independent trade, Shadow continued. It would break the cult's monopoly on Wave Country's resources. They've been bleeding this nation dry for years, harvesting desperate people for their experiments. He took another step forward. You've been helping them without even realizing it. You're insane, Zabuza spat. There's no cult. There's just money and power. Believe what you wish. Shadow raised his hand, purple energy condensing into a blade. But your thread in this story ends here. Senbon needles struck Zabuza's neck. The missing nine's eyes rolled back and he collapsed, apparently dead. A figure in a hunter nin mask appeared on a nearby tree branch, bowing apologetically. Forgive me, the masked ninja said in a soft voice, but this criminal belongs to the Mist Village. I'll take custody of the body. Shadow studied the newcomer carefully. The Hunter Nine's chakra signature was familiar, young, controlled, carrying traces of the same corruption he'd purified from Alpha years ago. Interesting. Very well, Shadow said. But tell your masters this, the cult of Diablos is marked. Shadow Garden is watching, and when the time comes, we will strike without mercy. The Hunter Nin hesitated, then grabbed Zabuza's body and vanished in a swirl of mist. Shadow turned back toward Team 7's position. Kakashi was pulling himself together, Sharingan still spinning. Sasuke and Sakura stood frozen, staring at him with expressions of absolute shock. Time for the exit. Shadow bowed slightly, his coat billowing dramatically. The copy ninja is safe. The threat has passed. My work here is done. Wait, Kakashi called out. Who are you? What are you? Shadow smiled behind his collar. I am Shadow. Remember that name, Kakashi Hatake. We may meet again when darkness falls. He stepped backward into the fog and vanished completely, his presence disappearing as if he'd never existed. 30 seconds later, Naruto Uzumaki stumbled out of the mist from the opposite direction, looking disheveled and terrified. Kakashi-sensei, he cried. I got lost in the fog. Is everyone okay? Did we win? Kakashi stared at him with his Sharingan still active, analyzing every micro-expression, every heartbeat, every tiny detail. Naruto's chakra was completely normal, low genin level, slightly erratic, nothing unusual. His fear appeared genuine. His confusion seemed real. And yet, we're fine, Kakashi said slowly. We had help. Help? Naruto tilted his head. From who? That's what I'd like to know. They continued to Tazuna's house, the bridge builder trembling from his near-death experience. As they walked, Sasuke kept glancing at Naruto with suspicion. The timing was too convenient. Naruto disappeared, the mysterious warrior appeared, then Naruto returned right after. But it was impossible. Naruto was weak. Everyone knew that. He'd barely passed the academy. He couldn't even perform a proper clone jutsu. Still, Sasuke filed the observation away. Something was wrong, even if he couldn't prove it yet. At Tazuna's house, they met Tsunami, his daughter, and Inari, his grandson. The young boy was depressed and cynical, going on about how heroes didn't exist and courage was meaningless. Naruto listened to the speech with apparent annoyance, then stood up dramatically. That's stupid! Heroes do exist, and I'm going to be the greatest ninja ever! Inari just cried and ran to his room. That night, while the others slept, Shadow met with Alpha in the forest surrounding Tazuna's house. The Hunter 9 who took Zabuza's body was your medical target from 3 years ago, Shadow said. The girl with the ice manipulation bloodline. What was her name? Haku, Alpha replied. I remember. She developed severe curse possession from her bloodline awakening. We purified it using Master's magic and she vanished afterward. She's working with Zabuza now. They'll return. Shadow stared at the moon. Zabuza isn't dead. The Senbon needles struck non-vital points, a temporary death state to allow escape. They'll recuperate and attack again when we're vulnerable. Should we eliminate them before they recover? No. Shadow's smile was visible even in darkness. Let them come. Zabuza has potential. He's strong, skilled, and most importantly, he's questioning his employers now. I planted seeds of doubt. Those seeds will grow. He turned to Alpha. When they attack, you will face Haku. Show her what she could have become if she'd stayed with Shadow Garden. Show her the power she abandoned. Alpha's heart raced. Master was giving her a personal mission, a chance to fight for his cause directly. I won't fail you, Master. I know you won't. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You are my finest blade, Alpha, my first and most loyal shadow. When this is over, Haku will have a choice. Join us or die. Her bloodline and skills would be valuable assets. Alpha nodded, trying to ignore the jealousy burning in her chest. Master wanted to recruit Haku. He saw value in her. What if he liked her better? What if Alpha became... No. She crushed those thoughts. Master Shadow needed loyal followers, not jealous children. She would prove her worth through action. I'll return to headquarters now, Alpha said, bowing. Delta is getting restless without enemies to fight. Let her spar with Gamma. The exercise will keep her sharp. Shadow turned back toward Tazuna's house. The cult's operation in Wave is larger than anticipated. I need to investigate Gato's main compound before the final confrontation. Please be careful, Master. He smiled. I'm always careful. That's what makes me dangerous. Alpha vanished into the night, her heart both swelling with pride and aching with longing. The next week passed in training montages as Kakashi taught Team 7 tree walking exercises. Naruto struggled hilariously, falling repeatedly, while Sasuke and Sakura gradually improved. The rivalry between Naruto and Sasuke intensified, with the Uchiha secretly pleased to be superior at everything. Except Naruto was deliberately failing. Every night he practiced alone, walking up and down trees with perfect chakra control, analyzing the most efficient energy distribution patterns. He could walk on trees at age 6. This exercise was child's play. But Dead Last didn't demonstrate competence, so he fell and complained and tried way too hard during the day. Meanwhile, Shadow infiltrated Gato's compound 3 separate times, gathering intelligence on the shipping magnate's true operations. What he found confirmed his suspicions. Gato was indeed trafficking cursed individuals, sending them to a medical facility on the coast where experiments were conducted. The cult's fingerprints were everywhere. Shadow rescued 5 victims, purifying their curses and adding 3 to Shadow Garden's ranks. The other 2 were civilians he deposited safely in a neighboring town with enough money to start new lives. Each rescue operation was executed with surgical precision. Guards eliminated silently, evidence destroyed. No witnesses left alive who mattered. Shadow Garden grew stronger with each passing day. On the 8th day, Zabuza and Haku returned. The attack came on the bridge itself. Team 7 was providing protection as Tazuna and his workers constructed the sections. Fog rolled in unnaturally thick, and Zabuza's presence saturated the area. Did you miss me, Kakashi? The swordsman's voice echoed. This time, Zabuza brought his full power. Ice mirrors materialized around Sasuke and Naruto, trapping them in Haku's crystal ice mirrors technique. The masked Hunter Nin appeared inside the mirrors, moving between them at incredible speed. Kakashi engaged Zabuza directly, Sharingan spinning, copying every jutsu the missing nin performed. Inside the ice mirrors, Haku launched Senbon needles from multiple angles simultaneously. Sasuke activated his newly awakened Sharingan, tracking some of the movements, but not enough. Needles struck his arms and legs, slowing him down. Naruto cowered, trying to dodge, screaming in terror. This is too fast! I can't see them! Haku's voice was soft but sad. I'm sorry, but I must protect someone precious to me. Please don't resist. I'll make this quick. More needles flew. Sasuke collapsed, unconscious from accumulated damage and chakra exhaustion. Naruto was struck multiple times, falling to his knees. Sasuke, he screamed. No! Wake up! Haku hesitated, moved by the genuine concern in the blonde boy's voice. You care for your comrade. That's admirable. But it changes nothing. Naruto looked up, and his eyes were glowing red. Nine-tailed fox chakra leaked out in response to his distress, wrapping around his body in a visible crimson aura. The needles embedded in his skin were pushed out as the wounds healed rapidly. Haku stepped back, startled. What is this chakra? I don't know. Naruto grabbed his head. It hurts. Something's happening. The Nine-Tails chakra surged, and Naruto lunged forward with enhanced speed, breaking one of the ice mirrors with a chakra-enhanced punch. Haku barely managed to retreat into another mirror before he was struck. This wasn't in the plan. The blonde genin was supposed to be weak, easily subdued. This power was unexpected. Outside the ice mirrors, Kakashi had driven Zabuza back, his lightning blade ready to finish the fight. But Zabuza was smiling behind his mask. "You think you've won? You haven't seen our trump card." The sky turned violet. Purple energy erupted across the bridge, so dense it became visible to the naked eye. Kakashi's Sharingan widened as he recognized the signature. This was the same power from the forest, the mysterious warrior who'd crushed Zabuza before. Shadow descended from above like a dark angel, landing between the ice mirrors and the ongoing battle between Kakashi and Zabuza. His black coat billowed dramatically in the wind. "Zabuza Momochi," Shadow said, his voice carrying across the entire bridge. "You've had time to think. Have you realized the truth yet?" Zabuza gritted his teeth. "I investigated what you said. Gato's compound had a hidden medical facility, experiments on civilians, things I wasn't told about." His grip on the executioner's blade tightened. "But that doesn't make your cult story real. You could be lying about everything else." "Could I?" Shadow spread his arms. "Then explain this." He snapped his fingers. The ice mirrors shattered simultaneously. Haku was forced out, landing beside Zabuza with confusion evident even through her mask. Inside the collapse technique, Naruto lay unconscious, the Nine-Tails chakra having conveniently receded. "Explain your precious companion's cursed possession," Shadow continued, pointing at Haku. "The corruption in her bloodline that manifests as ice, the instability that will eventually consume her if left untreated." Haku touched her chest unconsciously. How did he know? "The cult specializes in exploiting bloodline abilities," Shadow explained. "They induce artificial curse possession to create powerful soldiers. Your ice mirrors, Haku, are beautiful, but they're also slowly killing you." "That's a lie," Haku protested. "My bloodline is natural, inherited from my mother." "Is it? Have you noticed the pain growing worse? The chakra drain increasing? The cold spreading deeper into your core?" Haku's silence was answer enough. Shadow turned to Zabuza. "The cult found her as a child and manipulated her bloodline's awakening. They turned a natural gift into a weapon that will eventually consume her. You've been protecting someone already marked for death." Zabuza's expression darkened. "If what you say is true, can it be cured?" "It can be purified." Shadow gestured and Alpha emerged from the shadows of the bridge supports, her black slime suit gleaming. "My Shadow Garden specializes in saving those the cult has corrupted. We've rescued dozens. Your companion could be next." Haku looked between Shadow and Alpha, uncertainty clear in her posture. Then Gato arrived. The shipping magnate appeared at the bridge's far end with over 200 mercenaries, all armed with swords, spears, and crossbows. He laughed when he saw Zabuza. "Perfect timing," Gato crowed. "Zabuza, you've done your job. Now you can die along with everyone else. No loose ends, you understand." Zabuza's eyes narrowed. "What? You didn't think I'd actually pay you, did you? You're a missing nin, a tool to be discarded. Kill him, men." The mercenaries advanced with bloodthirsty grins. Shadow looked at the approaching army, then at Zabuza and Haku, then back at the mercenaries. He began to laugh, a soft, theatrical sound that somehow carried over the entire bridge. "How perfect," he said. "How absolutely perfect." The villain reveals his true nature. The pawns realize they've been used, and the hero makes his entrance at the perfect moment. He turned to Kakashi, who was watching with his Sharingan fully active. "Copy Ninja, take your students and the bridge builder to safety. This is no longer your fight." "And whose fight is it?" Kakashi demanded. Shadow's smile was visible even in shadow. "Mine." He walked toward the advancing army alone, hands in his pockets. The mercenaries laughed at the lone figure approaching them. "One kid against all of us? He's insane! Tear him apart!" They charged. Shadow stopped walking. He raised one hand skyward, and purple energy began condensing above his palm. The very air seemed to vibrate with power. "You poor, pitiful fools," he said softly. "You have no idea what true power looks like. Allow me to educate you." The energy above his hand expanded, growing larger and larger until it formed a massive sphere of compressed magic 20 feet in diameter. The purple light illuminated the entire bridge, turning day into twilight. Everyone stopped and stared. "I am atomic," Shadow declared. He brought his hand down. The sphere descended toward the mercenary army with terrible purpose. Some tried to run. Others fired arrows that disintegrated before touching the energy. Most simply stood frozen in terror, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. The sphere touched the ground at the center of the mercenary formation. Reality bent. The explosion was silent for the first microsecond, a perfect sphere of violet light that expanded with mathematical precision. Then the sound hit. A thunderclap so massive it shook the entire bridge to its foundations. The shockwave radiated outward in a perfect circle, vaporizing everything within its radius. When the light faded, there was nothing, no bodies, no blood, no weapons, just a perfectly circular crater where 200 men had stood, the edges glazed smooth like glass from the intense heat. Steam rose from the ocean water that began filling the depression. Gato's corpse was gone. The mercenaries were gone. Every trace of their existence had been atomized. Shadow lowered his hand slowly, purple energy still crackling around his fingers. "Playtime is over," he said to no one in particular. Behind him, Team 7 stood in absolute shock. Sakura was unconscious, having fainted from the overwhelming pressure. Sasuke's Sharingan spun wildly, trying and failing to comprehend what he'd witnessed. Tazuna had fallen to his knees, tears streaming down his face. Kakashi's Sharingan couldn't copy it. The technique was beyond anything in his experience. Not a jutsu, not chakra-based, something entirely different. Zabuza and Haku stared at the crater with expressions of pure horror. "What?" Haku whispered. "What are you?" Shadow turned to face them, his violet eyes gleaming. "I am the Eminence in Shadow. I am the power that moves behind the world's curtain. I am the one who hunts the cult of Diablos to extinction." He walked toward them slowly. "And I am offering you a choice." "A choice?" Zabuza's voice was hoarse. "Join Shadow Garden. Lend me your blades in the war against the cult. In exchange, I will purify Haku's curse possession and give you both purpose beyond mercenary work." Shadow stopped 10 feet away. "Or refuse, and I will end you here as I ended those mercenaries, quickly, efficiently, without hesitation." Haku looked at Zabuza. Zabuza looked at the crater. Neither spoke for a long moment. Finally, Zabuza dropped to one knee. "If you can truly save Haku," he said quietly, "then I will serve you. My blade is yours." Haku knelt beside him. "And mine as well." Shadow nodded. "Alpha, take them to headquarters. Begin Haku's purification immediately. Zabuza will undergo assessment and training." "Yes, Master Shadow." Alpha approached the pair, gesturing for them to follow. As they walked past, she leaned close to Haku and whispered, "You've made the right choice. Master Shadow's power is absolute. His purpose is righteous. You'll understand soon." The three vanished into the shadows, leaving Shadow alone on the bridge with Team 7. Shadow turned to face Kakashi's penetrating Sharingan stare. "Tell the Hokage this," Shadow said clearly. "Shadow Garden operates in the darkness to protect the light. We are not enemies of Konoha, but we will not be controlled or stopped. The cult of Diablos is our prey. Stay out of our way." "Who are you really?" Kakashi asked. "What do you want?" "I want what everyone wants, copy ninja. I want to be the power in the shadows, the one who changes the world from behind the scenes, the legend that people whisper about but can never prove." He smiled. "I want to be the Eminence in Shadow." He stepped backward into his own shadow and vanished completely. Kakashi stood alone with his unconscious students and a shell-shocked bridge builder, staring at the massive crater that marked the execution of 200 men. "What have we stumbled into?" he whispered. 5 minutes later, Naruto groaned and sat up, rubbing his head. "Ow! What happened? Did we win?" Kakashi studied him carefully. The timing was too perfect, the disappearance and reappearance too convenient, and yet Naruto's chakra showed no signs of the overwhelming power Shadow had displayed. "We won," Kakashi said slowly, "thanks to an ally." "Cool," Naruto grinned. "I knew we'd win. Was it you, Kakashi-sensei? Did you do something awesome?" The Jonin said nothing, his mind racing with implications and suspicions. The bridge was completed 3 days later. Tazuna named it the Great Naruto Bridge, much to the blonde Janin's delight and embarrassment. Team 7 departed Wave Country as heroes, though Kakashi filed a detailed report about Shadow and the mysterious organization called Shadow Garden. The Hokage read the report 3 times, his expression growing graver with each reading. "Shadow Garden," Hiruzen Sarutobi muttered, "an organization hunting something called the Cult of Diablos, power beyond anything we've encountered, operating in our own village without detection." He looked at Kakashi. And you suspect Naruto Uzumaki might be involved? I suspect, Kakashi said carefully, but I cannot prove. The timing of his disappearances and Shadow's appearances is suspicious, but his chakra signature is completely different. His skill level doesn't match. It's possible I'm wrong, or it's possible he's using a transformation we cannot detect. Hiruzen stroked his beard. Naruto has the Nine Tails sealed within him. Perhaps that grants abilities we don't understand. Or perhaps Shadow and Naruto are truly separate individuals who happen to appear in the same locations. What should we do? Watch him, the Hokage decided. Closely, but carefully. If Naruto is Shadow, confronting him directly will only drive him deeper underground. If they're separate, we need to identify Shadow's true identity. He paused. And if this cult of Diablos is real, we need to investigate it thoroughly. The techniques Shadow described, cursed possession, corruption of bloodlines, these match some of the experiments Orochimaru conducted before defecting. Kakashi's visible eye widened. You think Orochimaru is involved with this cult? I think we know far less about the world than we believed. Hiruzen looked out his window toward the academy, where young Naruto would be training tomorrow. And I think that boy may hold more secrets than anyone imagined. In his apartment that night, Naruto sat cross-legged on his bed, replaying the mission in his mind. Everything had gone perfectly. Zabuza and Haku recruited, Gato eliminated, Shadow's reputation established in spectacular fashion. Team 7 completely fooled. His only regret was not being more theatrical with his atomic attack speech. Maybe he should have added more dramatic pauses or a better build-up? The technique name could use some workshopping too. I Am Atomic was good, but perhaps Atomic Annihilation or Shadow's Nuclear Judgment would be better? He'd have to workshop it with Alpha A. Shadow moved in his room. Alpha materialized from the darkness, kneeling. Master, Haku's purification is complete. She's resting now. Zabuza has been briefed on Shadow Garden's purpose and structure. Good. And the new recruits from Wave? All three have begun training. Epsilon shows particular promise with water manipulation. Zeta is a skilled medic. Eta is a prodigy with explosive tags. Alpha paused. Master, may I speak freely? Always, Alpha. Why didn't you tell me you planned to recruit Haku? I could have prepared myself mentally. Naruto heard the jealousy underneath her carefully controlled tone. He smiled softly. Alpha, you are my first and most loyal blade. No one could ever replace you. Haku is talented, yes, but she isn't you. She doesn't have your dedication, your strength, your unwavering faith in our purpose. Alpha's heart soared. Master, you are special to me. Naruto continued, meaning every word. Alpha had been his first genuine recruit, the girl he'd saved from certain death. Their bond was deeper than mere loyalty. Never doubt that. I won't, Master Shadow, I promise. After Alpha left, Naruto lay back on his bed, staring at the ceiling. His network was expanding, his power growing, his legend spreading. The cult of Diablos, which he was increasingly certain was actually real, wouldn't know what hit them. And the best part? Everyone still thought he was just the dead last. Perfect. The next morning, Team 7 was summoned to the Hokage's office for a new mission. Naruto arrived late, out of breath, claiming he'd overslept. Sasuke scowled at him. Sakura sighed in exasperation. Team 7, the Hokage began, you've been selected to participate in the Chunin exams. Naruto's eyes went wide. The Chunin exams? Really? When? In 1 month, Hiruzen explained. Teams from all over the world will gather in Konoha to compete. This is an opportunity to demonstrate your skills and potentially earn promotion to Chunin rank. Internally, Naruto was vibrating with excitement. The Chunin exams, multiple villages gathering in one place, foreign ninja who might be cult operatives, the forest of death where dangerous encounters awaited. This was going to be perfect. However, Kakashi interjected. I must nominate you, and frankly, I'm not sure you're ready. What? Naruto jumped to his feet. We're totally ready, right, Sasuke? The Uchiha said nothing, but his eyes challenged Kakashi to doubt him. We'll see, Kakashi said mysteriously. I'll give you my answer in 1 week. Until then, train hard. The team dispersed. Sasuke immediately headed to the training grounds to practice. Sakura followed him, hoping to watch. Naruto wandered off toward Ichiraku Ramen, maintaining his predictable routine. Once out of sight, he ducked into an alley and transformed into Shadow. Shadow Garden's main headquarters beneath Konoha had expanded significantly. What started as a simple underground room had become a complex with multiple levels, training facilities, medical bays, intelligence archives, and living quarters for operatives who couldn't maintain surface identities. 23 members now called Shadow Garden home. Shadow descended the hidden stairs to find his organization in full operation. Beta was updating intelligence boards with information from across the continent. Gamma was coordinating supply lines and finances. Delta was sparring with 3 recruits simultaneously, her brutal efficiency making the newbies look like children. And Alpha stood at the central table, reviewing mission reports. She looked up when Shadow entered, her eyes lighting up behind her mask. Master Shadow, Zabuza and Haku have integrated well. Zabuza's combat experience is invaluable for training our newer members. Haku's ice techniques provide strategic advantages we previously lacked. Excellent. Shadow approached the table, studying the maps. The Chunin exams begin in 1 month. This presents opportunities and dangers. Other villages will send their strongest genin. Some will be cult operatives or pawns. Should we infiltrate the exams? Beta asked, pen poised over her journal. I will already be participating as Naruto Uzumaki, Shadow replied. But I need Shadow Garden to identify all foreign operatives, background checks on every participant, family histories, behavior patterns, anything that might indicate cult affiliation. It will be done, Master, Alpha assured him. Also, Shadow continued, Orochimaru will make his move during the exams. I'm certain of it. The room fell silent. Orochimaru the Sannin? Gamma asked nervously. One of Konoha's legendary ninja? Also a high-ranking cult leader, Shadow confirmed. His experiments on children, his pursuit of immortality, his obsession with forbidden techniques, all signs of cult involvement. He will attempt to infiltrate Konoha during the chaos of the exams. Then we should warn the Hokage, Beta exclaimed. No, Shadow's voice was firm. If we reveal our knowledge, the cult will know we're onto them. They'll go deeper underground. We must let Orochimaru make his move, then counter it from the shadows, he smiled. Besides, what kind of mastermind would I be if I prevented all the dramatic moments? Conflict drives the story forward. His followers exchanged confused glances but nodded obediently. Master Shadow's wisdom was beyond their understanding. Delta, Shadow turned to the Pharaoh warrior. I have a special mission for you. Delta's eyes gleamed with bloodlust. What is it, Master? Who do I kill? During the Forest of Death portion of the exams, you will hunt, not participants. They're off limits unless they're confirmed cult operatives. But the forest contains many dangerous creatures and criminals who use it as a hideout. Eliminate them. Make the forest truly deadly for anyone who isn't us. Yes, Master! Delta's grin was manic. Over the following week, Team 7 trained intensely. Kakashi put them through brutal exercises designed to push their limits. Sasuke improved his Sharingan usage. Sakura developed better chakra control. And Naruto continued to pretend he was struggling with basic techniques. It was exhausting maintaining the act, but necessary. On the 7th day, Kakashi gathered the team. I've made my decision, he announced. You will participate in the Chunin exams. Naruto cheered. Sasuke smirked. Sakura looked nervous but determined. However, Kakashi's visible eye became serious. The exams are dangerous. People die during them. If you're not ready to risk your lives, now is the time to back out. I'm ready, Sasuke said immediately. Me too, Sakura added. I'm not backing down, Naruto declared. I'm going to ace these exams and show everyone what I can do. Kakashi studied them each in turn, his gaze lingering on Naruto. Very well. Registration is tomorrow. Don't be late. The first exam took place in the Academy's testing room. Teams from Sand, Sound, Rain, Grass, and Waterfall villages gathered alongside Konoha teams. The room buzzed with tension and competition. Naruto scanned the participants with practiced subtlety. His eyes lingered on a team of Sound Genin whose chakra signatures felt corrupted, possible curse possession. He noted a Rain team that moved with professional precision beyond what Genin should possess. And most interestingly, a red-haired Sand Genin with a gourd on his back whose chakra was absolutely massive and barely controlled. A Jinchuriki. Definitely a Jinchuriki. Which village? Sunagakure? Interesting. The proctor, Ibiki Morino, explained the rules. A written test designed to test information gathering skills. Those caught cheating 5 times would be disqualified. The 10th question would come later. Naruto stared at his test paper with wide eyes, his expression screaming, "I have no idea what any of this means." He chewed on his pencil, crossed out random answers, and generally acted like someone completely out of their depth. In reality, he'd finished the entire test in his head within 30 seconds. The questions were child's play, basic cipher work, tactical analysis, logic problems. He could have written treatises on each answer, but dead last didn't ace written exams. So he doodled on his paper and occasionally wrote random nonsense answers, making sure to get exactly 40% correct. Enough to not be the worst, but definitely not passing on merit. Around the room, other participants employed various cheating methods. Byakugan users scanned papers. Sharingan users copied hand movements. Puppeteers used insects and threads. It was a masterclass in intelligence gathering. Naruto just sat there looking confused. When time was called, Ibiki revealed the final question. The 10th question is a choice. You can attempt it, knowing that if you fail, you and your team will never be allowed to take the Chunin exams again. Or you can leave now with the option to try again next year. Tension filled the room. Several teams raised their hands and left. Naruto's hand shot up. Sasuke and Sakura stared at him in horror. "I have something to say," Naruto declared, standing dramatically. "What is it?" Ibiki asked. "I'm not going to quit." Naruto's voice carried across the entire room. "I don't care if I'm stuck as a genin forever. I'll become Hokage, even if I have to do it as a genin. Hit me with your 10th question." Ibiki's scarred face cracked into a slight smile. "Everyone who remains has passed the first test." "What?" Multiple genin shouted in confusion. "The 10th question was about courage," Ibiki explained. "A ninja must make difficult choices without knowing the outcome. You all demonstrated that quality by staying." Naruto grinned, pumping his fist. Inside, he was pleased with his performance. The inspiring speech was a nice touch, very protagonist-like. A window exploded inward. A purple-haired woman in a tan coat appeared in a crouch, a banner unfurling behind her reading, "The beautiful Anko Mitarashi has arrived." Everyone stared. "What are you doing, Anko?" Ibiki asked tiredly. "You're early again." "Early, I'm perfectly on time." Anko scanned the room, counting participants. "Wow, you passed way too many. Don't worry, I'll cut that number down in the forest of death." Naruto studied Anko carefully. Her chakra signature had faint traces of corruption, the curse mark Orochimaru had given her years ago. Not enough to qualify as full curse possession, but concerning nonetheless. She'd be a valuable recruit if he could purify it completely. Mental note: have Delta observe Anko during the second exam. Possible recruitment target: Anko explained the second exam's rules with savage glee. Teams would be dropped into the forest of death with either a heaven or earth scroll. They needed to collect both scrolls and reach the central tower within 5 days. Anything goes. Death is possible. Sign these waivers. The 44 training ground, the forest of death, loomed before the remaining teams the next day. Naruto stood at gate 12 with Team 7 clutching their heaven scroll. "This is going to be dangerous," Kakashi warned one last time. "Watch each other's backs." "We'll be fine," Sasuke assured him confidently. Naruto nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, we're the strongest team here." Kakashi's visible eye curved in a smile, though he still looked worried. "Good luck." The gates opened, teams scattered into the forest like prey fleeing predators. Immediately, the sounds of combat erupted from multiple directions. Screams, explosions. The clash of kunai against kunai, Team 7 moved cautiously through the dense undergrowth. Sasuke taking point, Sakura in the middle, Naruto bringing up the rear. They had traveled for an hour when Sasuke suddenly froze. "Get down!" he hissed. A massive snake erupted from the ground beneath them, its jaws wide enough to swallow a person whole. Team 7 scattered. The snake's strike missed Sasuke by inches. But Naruto knew this wasn't a random forest creature. The snake spoke with a human voice. "Impressive reflexes, Sasuke-kun." Orochimaru emerged from the tree line, his golden eyes gleaming with interest. The Sanin's presence was overwhelming, his chakra pressing down on the genin like a physical weight. "Who are you?" Sasuke demanded, sharing and activating. "I am someone who recognizes talent when I see it." Orochimaru's smile was predatory. "You, Sasuke Uchiha, possess the Sharingan, such a rare and beautiful gift. I would very much like to see how strong you truly are." He moved, faster than any of the genin could track, Orochimaru appeared behind Sasuke, his neck extending like a snake's, mouth open to reveal fangs dripping with purple energy. Time seemed to slow. Naruto processed his options rapidly. If Orochimaru bit Sasuke, he'd apply the curse mark, a form of curse possession that would slowly corrupt the Uchiha. That couldn't be allowed. But if Naruto intervened too obviously, his cover would be compromised. He needed a distraction. Sasuke, look out! Naruto panicked, throwing a kunai wildly. The kunai's trajectory was deliberately terrible, flying nowhere near Orochimaru. But it struck an explosive tag Naruto had secretly placed on a tree 10 feet to the Sanin's left. The explosion wasn't large, but it was bright and sudden. Orochimaru's eyes flicked toward it for a fraction of a second. Sasuke used that fraction to roll forward, dodging the bite by millimeters. Orochimaru's fangs snapped on empty air. He landed in a crouch, looking genuinely surprised. Interesting. Luck? Or did the blonde one actually plan that? He turned his golden eyes to Naruto, who was on the ground, looking terrified. Please don't hurt us, Naruto begged. We'll give you our scroll. Just let us go. Orochimaru studied him carefully. The timing of that kunai had been suspicious, but the boy looked genuinely terrified, and his chakra was weak. Perhaps it truly was luck. Keep your scroll, Orochimaru said, his voice silky. I'm not interested in passing your little exam. I'm here for something far more valuable. He turned back to Sasuke, who'd gotten to his feet, breathing hard. You have potential, Uchiha, but you're weak. You lack the power to achieve your revenge against Itachi. Orochimaru's smile widened. Come find me when you're ready to become truly strong. I can give you power beyond your imagination. Before anyone could respond, Orochimaru sank into the ground, disappearing completely. Team 7 stood in stunned silence. What? What was that? Sakura whispered. That was one of the legendary Sannin, Sasuke said, his Sharingan still active. Orochimaru the Snake. He's a missing nin now, a traitor to Konoha. What's he doing here? Naruto asked, playing confused. I don't know, but we need to report this to the proctors immediately. No, Sasuke said firmly. If we leave the forest now, we fail the exam. We keep moving. But we keep moving. Sasuke's voice brooked no argument. They continued deeper into the forest, tension high. Naruto maintained his scared persona while internally analyzing the encounter. Orochimaru had targeted Sasuke specifically, but failed to apply the curse mark. That meant he'd try again. Probably when they were separated or vulnerable, Shadow Garden would need to intervene. That night, while Team 7 made camp, Naruto volunteered for first watch. Once Sasuke and Sakura were asleep, he slipped into the shadows and transformed. Delta appeared from the darkness seconds later, kneeling. Master Shadow, I've been tracking Orochimaru. He's setting up an ambush point 3 kilometers east. He plans to attack your team tomorrow. Good. Let him come. Shadow's eyes gleamed. But when he separates me from the others, you will engage him. Delta's grin was feral. I can kill him? No. He's too valuable. He knows too much about the cult's operations. I want him beaten, humbled, and terrified. Make him understand that Shadow Garden is beyond his league. Then let him escape to report to his masters. Understood, Master. Also, Anko Mitarashi is nearby, tracking Orochimaru's movements. Don't harm her. She's a potential recruit once we purify her curse mark. Delta nodded and vanished back into the forest. Shadow returned to camp and transformed back into Naruto, yawning dramatically as he woke Sasuke for the next watch shift. The attack came the following afternoon. A sound team ambushed them, the same trio Naruto had noted earlier with corrupted chakra signatures. They were strong, coordinated, and clearly experienced beyond what Genin should be. Give us your scroll, the leader demanded. His arms covered in sound-amplifying devices, Sasuke engaged them directly while Sakura protected the scroll. Naruto tried to help, but mostly just got in the way, throwing kunai that missed and accidentally tripping Sasuke once. The sound ninja were winning. Sasuke's Sharingan couldn't keep up with all three simultaneously. Sakura was paralyzed with fear. Then Orochimaru appeared again, this time targeting Naruto directly. You, the Sannin said, appearing behind the blonde boy. There's something different about you. Let's see what happens when I push you. His hand shot forward, fingers aimed at Naruto's neck. Naruto tried to dodge, but wasn't fast enough. Orochimaru's fingers touched his neck, and purple energy flooded into his system. the curse mark application, except Naruto's magic immediately rejected it. The curse mark tried to take root, but encountered compressed magic circulating through Naruto's chakra network. The two energies collided, and the curse mark dissolved like sugar in water. Orochimaru's eyes widened. Impossible! What are you? Naruto collapsed, playing unconscious. But he'd felt it. The moment of contact had let him analyze the curse mark's structure completely. It was exactly as he theorized, a controlled form of curse possession designed to grant power while binding the victim to Orochimaru's will. Perfect research material. Orochimaru turned back to Sasuke, frustrated. If the blonde had rejected the mark, perhaps the Uchiha would as well. He'd need to use more force. He lunged forward, fangs extended. Delta exploded from the trees. Her fist struck Orochimaru's jaw with enough force to send the Sannin flying through 3 trees. She didn't stop, pursuing him with savage speed, her slime-enhanced strength allowing her to match a Sannin's physical abilities. Orochimaru recovered mid-flight, landing in a crouch. Another one? How many of you shadows are there? Enough to hunt trash like you. Delta's voice was gleeful with violence. She formed a blade from her slime suit and attacked. Their battle was brutal and fast. Delta fought with pure aggression, her enhanced strength and speed forcing Orochimaru to take her seriously. The Sannin summoned snakes that Delta tore apart with her bare hands. He used jutsu that she tanked through sheer durability. Who sent you? Orochimaru demanded, dodging a slash that would have bisected him. Shadow Garden, Delta replied, her grin manic. We're the ones hunting the cult of Diablos. You're one of their leaders, Snake. Master Shadow wants you to know we're coming for all of you. She caught one of his snakes and ripped it in half, blood spraying across the forest floor. Orochimaru realized he couldn't win this fight without revealing techniques he wanted to keep hidden. This warrior matched him in speed and exceeded him in raw power. Whatever organization she represented had resources beyond what he'd anticipated. Tell your master, Orochimaru said, gathering chakra, that I look forward to our next meeting. He sank into the ground again, escaping through underground tunnels. Delta didn't pursue. Master Shadow had ordered her to let him escape. She turned back to check on the unconscious Naruto, then vanished into the forest before Sasuke could get a clear look at her. The Uchiha helped the unconscious Naruto to shelter, his mind racing. Another mysterious warrior in black. Another mention of Shadow Garden. And Naruto had been specifically targeted by Orochimaru. The connections were becoming impossible to ignore. That night, Anko Mitarashi stumbled into the Forest of Death's central tower, bleeding from a wound on her neck. She'd encountered Orochimaru and nearly died. Only luck and her own curse mark had saved her. She reported to the Hokage immediately. Orochimaru is in the village, she gasped. He's targeting the genin, specifically the Uchiha. Hiruzen's expression became grave. Anbu, find him, immediately. But the snake Sannin had already gone to ground, nursing his wounds and contemplating the new variable. Shadow Garden, an organization powerful enough to field warriors who could fight him on equal terms. An organization claiming to hunt the cult of Diablos. He'd need to investigate, and perhaps accelerate his plans. Team 7 reached the central tower 2 days later, both scrolls in hand. They'd collected the Earth Scroll from the Sound Team after the mysterious warrior had saved them. The preliminary rounds would begin soon. Naruto woke up confused about what had happened, claiming he didn't remember anything after Orochimaru appeared. Sasuke didn't press the issue, but his suspicion grew stronger. The preliminary matches were held in a large arena beneath the tower. 21 teams had passed, meaning individual matches would determine who advanced to the finals. Naruto watched the matchups with interest. Sasuke versus Yoroi, Shikamaru versus Ken, Rock Lee versus Gaara. His own match came up on the board. Naruto Uzumaki versus Kiba Inuzuka. Perfect. An opponent he could believably defeat through lucky accidents. Kiba entered the arena confident, his dog Akamaru on his head. You're going down dead last. Naruto scratched his head nervously. I'll try my best. The proctor signaled the start. Kiba immediately rushed forward with his beast human clone technique, creating a perfect copy of himself with Akamaru. The two Kibas attacked from different angles. Naruto panicked, stumbling backward, tripping over his own feet. He fell forward. His head connected with Kiba's jaw at the perfect angle, a lucky headbutt with the force of his full falling momentum behind it. Kiba's eyes rolled back and he collapsed. Unconscious, the arena fell silent. Naruto stood up, rubbing his forehead. Ow, that hurt! Did I win? The proctor checked Kiba's condition, then raised Naruto's hand. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki. Applause and laughter filled the arena. Most people thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen, the dead last winning through sheer clumsiness. Only Kakashi, Sasuke, and a few others noticed the precision of that accident. The exact angle, the perfect timing, the way Naruto had positioned himself to make it look unintentional while delivering maximum impact. It was too perfect to be luck. The matches continued. Sasuke defeated his opponent handily. Neji crushed Hinata with brutal efficiency. Gaara killed a sound ninja with his sand, the violence shocking everyone present. But Naruto barely paid attention. His mind was already planning the finals, the invasion, the confrontation with Orochimaru that he knew was coming. Everything was aligning perfectly. The month between preliminary rounds and finals flew by in intense training. Kakashi worked with Sasuke on a new technique. Naruto trained with a special jonin named Ebisu, who tried teaching him chakra control. At night, Shadow Garden mobilized for the coming invasion. Orochimaru will strike during the finals, Shadow explained to his assembled followers. He'll use Sound and Sand Ninja to attack Konoha while he targets the Hokage directly. This is the cult's move to destabilize Fire Country. Should we warn Konoha? Alpha asked. No. The invasion serves our purposes. It will expose cult operatives, force them into the open where we can identify and eliminate them. Konoha's forces are strong enough to repel the attack with minimal assistance. What will Shadow Garden do? We protect the civilians, evacuate the vulnerable, engage any cult operatives we identify. Shadow's eyes gleamed. And I will ensure Orochimaru understands the price of threatening what is mine. The finals arrived on a bright sunny day. The stadium was packed with thousands of spectators from across the continent. Dignitaries filled the VIP boxes. The Kazekage sat beside the Hokage, his face hidden behind wrappings. Naruto stood in the arena with the other finalists, waving to the crowd like an idiot. But his eyes tracked every detail. The suspicious Kazekage, whose chakra felt wrong, the Anbu positioned throughout the stadium, the unusual number of Sound and Sand ninjas scattered among the audience. The invasion force was in place. The first match began. Naruto Uzumaki versus Neji Hyuga. Neji stood across from him, Byakugan active, expression arrogant. You're the dead last. You have no talent, no special bloodline, nothing. You don't belong here. Naruto grinned. We'll see about that, believe it. The proctor signaled the start. Neji immediately attacked with his gentle fist style, his Byakugan reading Naruto's chakra network. He struck precise points, trying to seal off chakra flow. Naruto tried to dodge, but got hit multiple times. He stumbled, collapsed, coughed up blood. Pathetic, Neji said. You never had a chance. Then Naruto stood up, grinning through bloody teeth. That actually hurt, he admitted. But I'm not going down that easy. He charged forward with a wild yell, throwing sloppy punches. Neji dodged effortlessly, striking more chakra points. Naruto kept getting up, kept charging, kept refusing to quit. The crowd was getting into it, cheering for the underdog. Why won't you stay down? Neji demanded, frustrated. Because, Naruto said, his voice suddenly serious, people like you who think they're better than everyone else really tick me off. He formed a hand seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 1,000 Naruto clones exploded into existence, filling the entire arena. Neji's Byakugan widened. Impossible! That many clones requires massive chakra. You're not supposed to! The clones attacked as a wave. Neji fought brilliantly, destroying dozens of clones with his 8 trigrams techniques. But there were too many, and real Naruto was hiding among them. The real Naruto emerged from underground, a substitution trick he'd set up earlier. He uppercut Neji's jaw with enhanced strength, launching the Hyuga into the air. Uzumaki barrage. Naruto and his remaining clones pummeled Neji from every angle, finishing with a final punch that drove him into the ground. Neji didn't get up. The crowd erupted in shocked cheers. The dead last had defeated a Hyuga genius. Naruto stood victorious, grinning and waving, playing the role perfectly. Inside, he was pleased. He'd revealed enough power to make his victory believable without showing his true strength. The next matches proceeded. Sasuke versus Gaara was scheduled, but postponed when Sasuke didn't show up on time. Then feathers began falling from the sky. "Genjutsu!" someone shouted. Most of the audience fell asleep instantly. Ninja throughout the stadium dispelled the technique and immediately engaged the invasion force. Sound and Sand Ninja revealed themselves, attacking Konoha forces. In the VIP box, the Kage revealed himself as Orochimaru in disguise. He trapped the Hokage in a barrier maintained by 4 Sound Ninja and began their battle on the rooftop. Chaos erupted throughout the village, and Shadow smiled. Finally, the real fun was beginning. Team 7 was ordered to pursue Gaara, who'd fled the stadium with his siblings. But Naruto tripped and fell behind, letting Sasuke and Sakura go ahead. Once alone, he transformed. Shadow emerged into the chaos of the village, surveying the battlefield. Civilians fled screaming. Konoha Ninja fought Sound and Sand invaders. Buildings burned. And in the distance, a massive 3-headed snake summoning was destroying the village's edge. "Alpha," Shadow said into the shadows. She appeared instantly. "Yes, Master?" "Begin evacuation of the civilian sectors. Use teams Epsilon through Iota. Prioritize children and elderly. Kill any enemy ninja you encounter, but don't engage if it slows the evacuation." "Understood." "Beta, Gamma, you're with me. We're hunting cult operatives." The two appeared from the shadows, weapons ready. "Delta, you know your target." From somewhere in the chaos, Delta's voice echoed back. "On it, Master!" Shadow Group mobilized with practiced precision. Over the next hour, they evacuated 300 civilians from danger zones, eliminated 17 cult operatives embedded in the invasion force, and systematically dismantled the Sound's command structure, all without anyone noticing who they were. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, Orochimaru and Hiruzen battled with the force of legends. The third Hokage, despite his age, fought with incredible skill. But Orochimaru had a trump card: summoning jutsu, impure world reincarnation. 2 coffins rose from the rooftop. The first and second Hokage emerged, their eyes empty. Controlled by Orochimaru's jutsu, Hiruzen's expression became grim. Fighting 2 of the strongest shinobi in history while they were immortal zombies was nearly impossible. The battle intensified. Shadow watched from a distant rooftop, analyzing Orochimaru's technique carefully. The impure world reincarnation, bringing the dead back to life. Fascinating, and definitely cult magic. The technique corrupted the souls of the deceased, binding them to the caster's will. He'd need to study this later. But for now, he had more pressing concerns. Delta appeared beside him, grinning through blood splatter. "Master, I found the snake's escape route. He's planning to flee once he kills the Hokage. Block it. I want him to feel trapped." With pleasure. The battle on the rooftop reached its climax. Hiruzen, knowing he couldn't win through conventional means, made a desperate choice. He performed the Dead Demon Consuming Seal, a forbidden jutsu that summoned the Shinigami to steal souls at the cost of the user's own life. The death god appeared behind the Hokage, visible only to those about to die. Orochimaru felt the technique's pull and panicked. He tried to flee, but found his escape routes blocked by Shadow Garden operatives. Everywhere he turned, black-suited warriors appeared, forcing him back. "What is this?" Orochimaru snarled. "Shadow Garden!" Hiruzen sealed the first and second Hokage's souls, then reached for Orochimaru. The Sanin's arms were caught, pulled toward the death god's maw. Pain unlike anything he'd experienced flooded Orochimaru's system as his arms were sealed, rendered forever useless. He screamed, finally using a substitution to escape at the cost of leaving his arms behind. He fled the village, his Sound Ninja retreating with him. Hiruzen Sarutobi collapsed on the rooftop, the Shinigami fading away. His life force was spent. Anbu rushed to his side, but it was too late. The third Hokage died with a smile, knowing he protected his village one last time. Shadow watched from the distance, his expression somber behind his mask. He hadn't known Hiruzen personally, but the old man had been a good leader. His death was unfortunate but necessary for the story to progress. Still, it deserved respect. "Master," Alpha appeared beside him. "All civilians are secure. All identified cult operatives have been eliminated. What are your orders?" "Return to headquarters. Compile a full report on everyone we killed, their affiliations, techniques, equipment. I want to understand the cult's organizational structure better." "And you, Master?" Shadow looked toward the Hokage's rooftop. "I'm going to pay my respects." He appeared on the rooftop seconds later, startling the Anbu, who immediately drew weapons. "Who are you?" one demanded. "I am Shadow," he said simply, kneeling beside Hiruzen's body. The third Hokage was a good man. He deserved better than to die fighting a battle that should have been prevented. "You knew about the invasion?" "I knew Orochimaru would strike. I knew the cult would use this opportunity to weaken Konoha, and I allowed it to happen because sometimes sacrifices are necessary to expose the greater evil." Shadow stood. The cult of Diablos operates throughout the ninja world. They corrupt, they experiment, they enslave. Hiruzen's death will not be in vain. Shadow Garden will ensure it. He turned to leave. "Wait," an Anbu called. "You're that organization from Wave Country, the one that—" "We are not your enemy," Shadow interrupted. "We hunt the same darkness you fight, but from different angles. Tell whoever becomes the next Hokage this: Shadow Garden will protect Konoha from the shadows. We will not interfere with your operations, and we ask the same courtesy. The cult is our prey." He vanished before they could respond. The invasion ended with Konoha victorious but bloodied. Hundreds dead, the Hokage gone, the village in mourning. But Shadow Garden had achieved its objectives. 23 cult operatives eliminated, dozens of civilians saved, critical intelligence gathered, and Orochimaru crippled, unable to use hand seals ever again. A successful operation by any measure. In the aftermath, Naruto Uzumaki wandered into the village looking confused and scared. He found Kakashi among the wounded and immediately started crying. "Kakashi-sensei, I got lost during the fighting. Is everyone okay? Where's the Hokage?" Kakashi's visible eye was red-rimmed. "The Hokage, he died protecting the village." Naruto's expression crumbled into genuine shock. Say what you will about his roleplay obsession, but he had liked the old man. Hiruzen had been kind to him, had protected him from the village's hatred. "No," Naruto whispered. "That can't be." He ran toward the Hokage's mansion, Kakashi calling after him. When he arrived, Anbu blocked his path, informing him that yes, the third Hokage had died. Naruto fell to his knees and cried. Some of those tears were real. The funeral was held 3 days later. Thousands attended, paying respects to the professor, the god of shinobi, the man who'd led Konoha through countless wars. Naruto stood in the crowd, wearing a black armband, his expression sad. Around him, other genin wept openly. Even Sasuke looked affected. After the ceremony, the village began debating who would become the fifth Hokage. The name Tsunade Senju came up repeatedly, the last Sannin, the world's greatest medical ninja, granddaughter of the first Hokage. The village elders sent search teams to find her, and Naruto knew exactly where she'd be. 2 weeks after the funeral, Jiraiya the Toad Sage appeared in Konoha, looking uncharacteristically somber. He'd heard about his teacher's death and come to pay respects. The village elders immediately enlisted him to help find Tsunade. "I need a traveling companion," Jiraiya announced to the assembled jonin. "Someone young and energetic who can help search. Any volunteers?" Kakashi's visible eye curved into a smile. "Actually, I think Naruto Uzumaki would be perfect." "The kid with the 9 tails?" Jiraiya asked. "The very same. He could benefit from traveling with you, learning from one of the legendary Sannin, and he's surprisingly resourceful." Jiraiya agreed, and Naruto was summoned. "You want me to travel with this old pervert?" Naruto pointed at Jiraiya, who'd been caught peeping at the hot springs that morning. "Who are you calling an old pervert?" Jiraiya shouted. "You were literally peeping 30 minutes ago. That's research for my novels." Their bickering was legendary and immediate. But internally, Naruto was thrilled. Traveling with Jiraiya meant access to the spy network, information about Akatsuki, definitely a cult faction, and opportunities to expand Shadow Garden's reach. Plus, finding Tsunade would lead to interesting developments. This was perfect. They left Konoha the next morning, heading toward the last town where Tsunade had been spotted. As they traveled, Jiraiya tried to get to know his traveling companion. "So, kid, what's your story? Why'd you become a ninja?" "To become Hokage," Naruto declared enthusiastically. "I want everyone to acknowledge me." "Hokage, huh? That's a big dream for a dead last." "I'm not a dead last anymore. I beat Neji in the Chunin exam finals." Jiraiya had heard about that. The reports claimed Naruto had demonstrated massive chakra reserves and creative tactics. Not bad for a supposed failure. "Tell me about the 9 tails," Jiraiya said seriously. "Can you access its chakra?" Naruto's expression became uncertain. "Sometimes, When I get really scared or angry, this red chakra comes out. It's powerful but scary. I don't really control it. That was partially true. The Nine-Tails chakra did leak out during extreme emotion, but Naruto had learned to suppress it using magic compression, preventing the fox from influencing him beyond what he allowed. The beast was useful for cover stories, but annoying otherwise. They reached a town called Tanzaku 2 days later. Jiraiya immediately began investigating while Naruto explored, which actually meant scouting for cult operatives and Shadow Garden recruitment targets. He found 3 cursed individuals in the town's slums and marked them for Alpha to retrieve later. He also identified 2 suspicious ninja who moved like assassins, possible Akatsuki scouts. Interesting. That evening, they found Tsunade in a gambling hall, losing spectacularly at dice. She was beautiful despite being over 50, the benefits of her medical jutsu keeping her young. Her assistant Shizune stood beside her, looking worried about their dwindling funds. Jiraiya approached with a smile. "Tsunade, long time no see." She turned, recognized him, and punched him through a wall. "What do you want, Jiraiya?" "Konoha needs you," Jiraiya said, pulling himself from the rubble. "The village needs a 5th Hokage. The elders want you to take the position." "Not interested." Tsunade turned back to her gambling. "Your grandfather and granduncle were Hokage. Your legacy is death and disappointment. Everyone who becomes Hokage dies. Everyone who dreams of it dies. The position is cursed." Her eyes were hard. "I want nothing to do with it." Naruto watched the exchange carefully. Tsunade was damaged, traumatized by the deaths of her loved ones. Her boyfriend Dan and her little brother Nawaki had both died pursuing their dreams. She developed hemophobia from failing to save them. Classic tragic backstory, perfect for a dramatic redemption arc. "Even if you don't want the position," Naruto said, speaking for the first time, "don't you want to see your village? Don't you care about the people there?" Tsunade's gaze snapped to him. "And who are you, kid?" "Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage." She laughed, but it was bitter. "Another fool with death wishes. You'll end up like everyone else who dreamed that dream." "Maybe," Naruto said, his blue eyes meeting her brown ones. "But at least I'll die trying instead of running away." Her expression darkened dangerously. "What did you say?" "You heard me. You're running away because you're scared. You don't want to be Hokage because you're afraid of losing more people. But hiding doesn't protect anyone. It just makes you a coward." Tsunade's fist moved faster than most people could see, aimed directly at Naruto's face with enough force to crack concrete. Naruto stood his ground. The fist stopped 1 inch from his nose, trembling with restrained power. "You've got guts, kid," Tsunade said quietly. "Stupid, suicidal guts. But guts." She lowered her fist and walked out of the gambling hall, Shizune hurrying after her. Jiraiya stared at Naruto. "Are you insane? She could have killed you." "But she didn't," Naruto replied, grinning. "Because she's not actually heartless. She's just hurt." That night, Orochimaru appeared. He'd been tracking Tsunade, planning to offer her a deal. Despite his sealed arms, he needed her medical expertise to heal them. He'd offered to resurrect Dan and Nawaki in exchange for her help, a tempting offer for someone consumed by grief. Tsunade met him in an abandoned courtyard outside town. Naruto and Jiraiya followed secretly, watching from the shadows. "Tsunade," Orochimaru said, his arms hanging uselessly at his sides. "I have a proposition. I'm not interested in anything you offer, Snake. Not even bringing back the dead?" Orochimaru's smile was knowing. "I can resurrect Dan and Nawaki. The impure world reincarnation allows me to summon souls from the Pure Land. I can give them life again." Tsunade froze. "All I need," Orochimaru continued, "is for you to heal my arms. Your medical expertise is the finest in the world. Fix me, and I'll bring them back." Jiraiya tensed, ready to intervene, but Naruto placed a hand on his arm, stopping him. "Wait," Naruto whispered. "Let's see what she chooses." Tsunade stared at Orochimaru for a long moment. Her hands trembled, then she formed a hand seal. "I refuse." Her chakra-enhanced fist struck the ground, creating a massive crater that sent Orochimaru flying backward. "Dan and Nawaki are at peace," she shouted. "I won't desecrate their souls for your sick games. They died protecting what they believed in. Bringing them back as your puppets would spit on everything they stood for." Orochimaru recovered, his expression annoyed. "How disappointing. I thought grief would make you more pliable." "You thought wrong, Snake." Orochimaru's assistant, Kabuto, appeared beside him along with several sound ninja. Then we'll take what we need by force. The battle erupted. Tsunade fought brilliantly despite her hemophobia, her chakra-enhanced strength creating craters with every punch. But Kabuto was skilled, using medical knowledge to disrupt her nervous system. Jiraiya engaged Orochimaru directly, their battle a clash of Sannin-level power, and Naruto hid behind cover, watching. Kabuto had Tsunade on the defensive, exploiting her fear of blood by cutting her with chakra scalpels. Each wound made her freeze, paralyzed by trauma. Pathetic, Kabuto said, the legendary Sannin defeated by her own weakness. He moved in for the kill. Naruto's body flickered. He appeared between Kabuto and Tsunade, his hand catching the chakra scalpel on his palm. Blood welled up from the cut. "Naruto!" Tsunade screamed. "Get back!" But Naruto just grinned. "You know what I realized, old lady? You're afraid of blood because you couldn't save the people you loved. But you know what? I'm not them. I'm not going to die here." He headbutted Kabuto, sending the medical ninja stumbling backward. "Because I'm going to be Hokage," Naruto declared. "And Hokage don't die to losers like you." He charged forward with his shadow clone jutsu, overwhelming Kabuto with numbers and unpredictability. Tsunade watched, her hemophobia forgotten in her shock. This kid, this loud, obnoxious, stupid kid, was fighting for her, bleeding for her. Smiling despite the danger, just like Nawaki used to, just like Dan used to, her hand stopped trembling. "You're right," she whispered, then louder, "You're absolutely right." She rushed forward, her fist glowing with concentrated chakra. "Kabuto!" Her punch connected with his chest, sending him rocketing through a building. The sound ninja scattered, unable to handle a motivated Tsunade. Meanwhile, Jiraiya had Orochimaru on the defensive. The snake Sannin couldn't perform jutsu without hand seals, and his trump cards were unavailable. "You've lost, Orochimaru," Jiraiya said. "Retreat now or I'll kill you." Orochimaru's golden eyes narrowed. "This isn't over. Shadow Garden may have crippled me, but the cult of Diablos is vast. You haven't seen anything yet." He vanished in a swirl of snakes, Kabuto and the sound ninja retreating with him. The battle was over. Tsunade approached Naruto, who was sitting on the ground, breathing hard, his hand still bleeding from catching Kabuto's scalpel. "You're an idiot," she said. "Yeah, probably," Naruto agreed, grinning. "But you're a brave idiot." She knelt down and healed his hand with glowing green chakra. "Fine, I'll go back to Konoha. I'll take the Hokage position, but only because someone needs to keep fools like you alive." Naruto's grin widened. "Does that mean you believe I can become Hokage?" "It means I believe you're too stubborn to die before you try." They returned to Konoha 3 days later. Tsunade was officially inaugurated as the 5th Hokage, much to the village's relief. She immediately began reforms, improving the hospital, reorganizing Anbu, strengthening defenses, and she took a personal interest in Naruto Uzumaki. "You've got potential, kid," she told him during a training session. "Raw talent buried under terrible academy instruction. I'm going to teach you some real techniques." Over the following weeks, Tsunade taught him medical ninjutsu basics, chakra control exercises, and her signature technique, the chakra-enhanced strength. Naruto pretended to struggle with each lesson while secretly mastering them instantly. His mob persona had to maintain the appearance of gradual improvement, not sudden genius. At night, Shadow Garden continued operations. They'd identified 7 Akatsuki members through Jiraiya's spy network: Itachi Uchiha, Kasame Hoshigaki, Sasori, Deidara, Kakuzu, Hidan, and the mysterious leader, Pain. All confirmed cult operatives. Their goal of collecting Jinchuriki aligned perfectly with the cult's need for concentrated chakra sources. The Biju were essentially massive batteries of corrupted chakra, perfect for whatever grand ritual the cult planned. Shadow Garden began monitoring Akatsuki movements, preparing for inevitable confrontation. 2 months after Tsunade's inauguration, Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hoshigaki appeared in Konoha. They were searching for Naruto, specifically the 9 tails inside him. The 2 S-rank criminals walked through Konoha's streets brazenly, their Akatsuki cloaks marking them clearly. Anbu engaged them immediately, but were hopelessly outmatched. Kakashi arrived to intercept them, along with Kurenai and Asuma. "Itachi," Kakashi said, his Sharingan active. "You have a lot of nerve showing your face here." "I'm not here for you, Kakashi," Itachi replied, his Mangekyou Sharingan spinning lazily. "I'm here for the 9 tails Jinchuriki." Over my dead body. That can be arranged. Their battle was brutally one-sided. Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan trapped Kakashi in Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu so powerful it felt like 72 hours of torture in a single second. The Jonin collapsed, his mind shattered temporarily. Kurenai and Asuma fared little better. Kisame's Samehada sword absorbed their chakra, and Itachi's genjutsu kept them disoriented. Then Might Guy arrived. The taijutsu specialist engaged them both simultaneously, his speed and power forcing them to take him seriously. Guy specialized in taijutsu specifically to counter Sharingan users. If he didn't look at their eyes, genjutsu was useless. The fight reached a stalemate, with Guy holding his ground but unable to defeat both S-rank criminals alone. Meanwhile, Naruto was being evacuated by Tsunade's order. Anbu escorted him toward a safe house, but Itachi's crows appeared and scattered the guards. Naruto found himself face to face with Itachi Uchiha in an empty street. "Naruto Uzumaki," Itachi said calmly. "Come with us peacefully and we won't destroy the village." Naruto swallowed nervously, his eyes wide. "You're Sasuke's brother, the one who killed the Uchiha clan." "Yes." Itachi's expression revealed nothing. "That history is irrelevant. You have something we need." "The Nine Tails?" "Correct." Naruto took a step back, looking terrified. I can't let you take it. The fox is part of me. If you take it, I'll die." "Yes," Itachi acknowledged. "You will." He moved. His hand reached for Naruto's shoulder. Then Sasuke arrived. "Itachi!" The younger Uchiha's voice was filled with rage and pain. His Sharingan spun wildly, still immature compared to his brother's Mangekyo. Itachi paused, looking at his little brother with unreadable eyes. "Sasuke, you're still weak!" "I'll kill you!" Sasuke charged with his newly learned Chidori, lightning crackling around his fist. Itachi caught his wrist effortlessly. "Foolish little brother. You lack hatred. You'll never defeat me at this level." He struck Sasuke's wrist, breaking it, then kicked him into a wall. "That's enough!" Jiraiya's voice boomed as the Toad Sage appeared, his hair extending to block Itachi's path. "You're not taking Naruto." Itachi assessed the situation. Guy had arrived as backup. Jiraiya was at full strength. More Konoha forces were converging. The mission had failed. "Kisame, we're leaving." "But the Nine Tails is too well protected at this moment. We'll return when the opportunity is better." The two Akatsuki members vanished in swirls of crows and water, disappearing before they could be surrounded. Naruto collapsed against a wall, breathing hard, looking appropriately terrified. Inside, he was analyzing everything he'd observed. Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan, Kasame's chakra absorption, their coordination, their escape techniques, all valuable intelligence for Shadow Garden's eventual confrontation with Akatsuki. That night, as Sasuke recovered in the hospital from his broken wrist and shattered pride, Naruto visited him. "Hey," Naruto said quietly. "You okay?" "Leave me alone," Sasuke growled. "Look, I know your brother is strong, but you'll get stronger too. You'll catch up to him eventually." "You don't understand." Sasuke's Sharingan activated involuntarily. "You don't know what it's like to have your family slaughtered, to spend every day knowing your brother is out there, and you're too weak to do anything about it." Naruto was silent for a moment. Then, "You're right. I don't know what that's like. My parents died when I was born. I never knew them. I don't have anyone to avenge." Sasuke looked at him, some of the anger fading. "But I do know what it's like to feel weak," Naruto continued. "To want power so badly, it hurts. The difference is, I'm not letting it consume me. I'm getting stronger my own way, at my own pace. You should too." It was almost genuine advice. Almost. In reality, Naruto wanted Sasuke to grow stronger because a powerful rival made better theater. Sasuke turned away. "Just go." Naruto left, but he'd planted the seed. Sasuke would push himself harder now, becoming more desperate for power. That desperation would eventually lead him to Orochimaru, just as it had in Naruto's vague memories of the original timeline. Everything was proceeding perfectly. A month passed. Sasuke grew increasingly frustrated with his training, constantly comparing himself to Itachi and finding himself lacking. He started taking missions more seriously, pushing his limits dangerously. Then Orochimaru's subordinates appeared with an offer. Power, they promised. Real power. The kind that can let you defeat Itachi Uchiha. Come to Orochimaru and he'll teach you everything. Sasuke wrestled with the decision for 3 days. On the 4th day, he left the village. Team 7 discovered his defection immediately. Tsunade assembled a retrieval team, Shikamaru as leader, Naruto, Neji, Choji, and Kiba. Their mission was simple: bring Sasuke back alive. The team pursued Sasuke through Fire Country's forests, encountering Orochimaru's Sound Four, who served as guards. Each member of the retrieval team engaged a sound ninja in combat, leaving Naruto to pursue Sasuke alone, which was exactly what Naruto wanted. He caught up to Sasuke at the Valley of the End, the massive valley where Hashirama and Madara's statues faced each other over a waterfall. The location was dramatically perfect. "Sasuke," Naruto called out, "come back to the village." Sasuke stood at the valley's center, his back to Naruto. "I can't. Konoha makes me weak. Their way of training, their philosophy, their bonds, they're all chains holding me back." "So you're just going to abandon everyone? Your friends? Your team?" "Friends are just distractions." Sasuke turned, and his Sharingan was active. "Itachi told me I need to hate more, to suffer more, to isolate myself more. He's right. Bonds make you weak. I'm cutting them all. Then I'll just have to bring you back by force." Naruto charged forward. They clashed in the center of the valley, kunai against kunai. Sasuke's Sharingan tracked Naruto's movements while Naruto deliberately fought at Genin level, making it believable. "You can't beat me," Sasuke said, driving Naruto backward. "You're still the dead last. You've always been weak." "Maybe." Naruto created shadow clones. "But weak or not, I'm not giving up on you." They fought across the valley, neither gaining a decisive advantage. Sasuke used his Chidori. Naruto countered with Rasengan, a technique Jiraiya had taught him. The two spheres of chakra collided with explosive force. The battle escalated. Sasuke activated the curse-marked second state, transforming into a monstrous form with hand-shaped wings and dark skin. His power increased exponentially. He began overwhelming Naruto with speed and strength. "See?" Sasuke said, his voice distorted. "This is the power Orochimaru offers, power you could never achieve." Naruto was slammed into the ground, coughing blood, and he smiled. "You're right," Naruto said, standing slowly. "I can't beat you with this power." Sasuke prepared a final Chidori. "Then this ends now." "So I suppose," Naruto continued, his voice changing timbre, "I must show you the truth of the world." The orange jumpsuit melted. Black slime flowed across Naruto's body, forming the signature shadow bodysuit. His hair darkened, gaining violet highlights. His eyes shifted to glowing purple. Sasuke froze in absolute terror as recognition hit him like a physical blow. You're Shadow?" Shadow floated upward slightly, arms crossed, his presence suddenly overwhelming. The very air pressure changed, becoming heavier, denser. The killing intent radiating from him made Sasuke's curse mark-enhanced form feel like a child's play. "I do not seek to stop you, Sasuke Uchiha," Shadow said, his voice carrying theatrical resonance. "I seek to show you how small your power truly is." Sasuke attacked desperately, his Chidori at maximum power. Lightning crackled around his hand as he thrust forward with everything he had. Shadow caught it. With one hand, the Chidori dissipated like smoke the moment it touched Shadow's palm. Sasuke's eyes widened in disbelief. His strongest technique, the jutsu that had just been overwhelming his opponent, was negated casually. "This is your strength?" Shadow asked. "This desperate grasping at Orochimaru's scraps? This pathetic curse corrupting your body?" He raised his other hand, purple energy condensing into a blade. "Allow me to demonstrate real power. I am Atomic Sword." He slashed once. The sheer air pressure from the swing split reality itself. The waterfall divided vertically down the middle, water suspended in midair for a heartbeat before crashing apart. The massive statues of Hashirama and Madara were cleaved cleanly in half, the stone cuts so precise they looked polished. The clouds above parted in a perfect line extending to the horizon. Sasuke was blown backward by the pressure wave alone, his curse mark burning away from the overwhelming magical energy. He crashed into the valley wall and fell, unconscious, his body reverting to normal. Shadow floated down gracefully, landing beside Sasuke's broken form. Alpha appeared from the shadows, kneeling. "Master, shall we take him?" Shadow looked down at Sasuke with something almost like pity. "No, let him go. Every good story needs a villain. Sasuke will seek Orochimaru now with even more desperation. He'll grow stronger, more dangerous, more corrupted by the cult's influence. And then he'll return to Konoha as an enemy, forcing a confrontation that will expose the cult's greater plans." Shadow smiled. The Uchiha are pawns in a much larger game. Sasuke just doesn't know it yet. Master's wisdom is infinite, Alpha breathed, her devotion absolute. Shadow turned toward destroyed valley, surveying his handiwork. The split statues, the divided waterfall, the carved clouds, it was beautiful devastation. Theatrical and overwhelming. Perfect. Return to headquarters, he ordered. I need to transform back before Kakashi arrives. He'll find this scene and wonder what happened. Let him wonder. Let everyone wonder. Alpha bowed and vanished. Shadow stepped backward into his own shadow and disappeared. 30 seconds later, Naruto Uzumaki crawled out from behind a rock, looking battered and bloody, his clothes torn. He'd fought Sasuke, but been defeated. The valley's destruction was from some unknown force that had appeared after he was knocked unconscious. He dragged himself towards Sasuke's unconscious body. Kakashi arrived minutes later, Sakura with him, and froze at the scene. The Valley of the End, a historical landmark, was destroyed. The statue split perfectly down the middle, the waterfall divided, and his two students lay unconscious in the wreckage. What happened here? Kakashi whispered. No one could answer. The retrieval mission returned to Konoha with Sasuke in custody, but unconscious. Medical teams examined him and found his curse mark completely burned away, his chakra network purified of corruption. But they also found memory damage. Sasuke couldn't remember the fight clearly, just impressions of overwhelming power, purple light, and a voice speaking about shadows. Naruto's story was simple. I fought Sasuke, but I lost. Then there was this huge explosion of light, and I blacked out. When I woke up, everything was destroyed, and Sasuke was unconscious too. The Hokage Tsunade listened to the report with grave concern. Shadow Garden had intervened again. They'd stopped Sasuke's defection, purified his curse mark, and demonstrated power capable of splitting historical monuments. Who are they? She asked Kakashi. What do they want? They claim to hunt the cult of Diablos, Kakashi replied. An organization they say has infiltrated every major nation. They protect Konoha from the shadows but refuse to be controlled. And you think Naruto might be involved? I think Naruto is more than he appears, but I can't prove anything. Tsunade looked out her window toward the hospital where both boys were recovering. Keep watching him. If he is Shadow, we need to understand his motives. If he's not, we need to protect him from whoever Shadow is. Sasuke woke up 2 days later, his memories fragmented but intact enough to know he'd been utterly crushed. His curse mark was gone, his confidence shattered, his understanding of power completely revised. He requested to stay in Konoha, to train properly, to understand what had happened to him. Naruto visited him again. Hey, Naruto said cheerfully. Glad you're okay. Sasuke stared at him with his Sharingan active, searching for any hint that Naruto was more than he appeared, but Naruto's chakra was completely normal. His posture relaxed, his expression genuinely happy. You're weak, Sasuke said finally. Yeah, probably, Naruto agreed easily, but you keep trying anyway. That's what I do, Naruto grinned. Never give up, never back down. Sasuke looked away. That power in the valley, Shadow Garden. Do you know anything about them? Those mysterious people who keep showing up? Nah, they're way above my level. Naruto scratched his head. Though they did save me from Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. So they seem like good guys? They destroyed the Valley of the End. Yeah, but they stopped you from defecting to a creepy snake guy. I'd say that's a net positive. Sasuke said nothing, but his mind was working. Shadow had specifically said every good story needs a villain. Was Sasuke the villain in this story? Was Shadow the hero? And where did Naruto fit in all of this? The questions plagued him. Over the following months, Konoha rebuilt and reinforced. Tsunade implemented new defense protocols. Anbu increased patrols, and quietly, secretly, she created a task force dedicated to investigating Shadow Garden. But they found nothing. Shadow Garden operated with perfect precision, leaving no traces, no witnesses, no evidence beyond their dramatic interventions. They were ghosts, shadows, rumors. Meanwhile, Shadow Garden itself grew to 50 members. Naruto had expanded operations into Wind Country, Water Country, and Lightning Country. They'd rescued dozens from curse possession. They'd eliminated hundreds of cult operatives. Their intelligence network rivaled nations. And Naruto loved every second of it. His life was the perfect roleplay. Powerful mastermind by night, lovable idiot by day. No one suspected. No one questioned. The theater was flawless until one person got too close to the truth. Hinata Hyuga had been watching Naruto for years with her Byakugan. She'd noticed inconsistencies, moments where his chakra spiked briefly, flickers of energy that didn't match his supposed skill level, subtle movements that displayed training far beyond what the academy taught. She started following him. One night, she witnessed him entering an abandoned warehouse that supposedly had no basement. She waited 3 hours, but he never came out the front door, so she used her Byakugan and saw nothing. The building's interior was completely blank to her vision. Not dark, not blocked, just absent, as if the space inside didn't exist in normal reality. That was impossible. Byakugan could see through everything. Unless someone had created a barrier specifically designed to block dojutsu. Hinata realized she'd stumbled onto something massive. She continued her surveillance, documenting every anomaly, every inconsistency. Over 6 weeks, she compiled a journal detailing her suspicions. Naruto Uzumaki was more than he appeared. He had abilities he hid, he had resources beyond explanation, and he had secrets that could change everything. She planned to confront him, but Shadow Garden noticed her surveillance first. "Master," Alpha reported during a meeting, "the Hyuga heiress has been following you. She's documented approximately 80 instances of suspicious behavior." Naruto's expression behind his shadow mask revealed nothing. "Hinata Hyuga, the shy girl from the academy. Interesting. Should we eliminate her?" "No." Naruto considered carefully. Hinata was kind, gentle, genuinely good-hearted. She'd also been watching him with obvious affection since childhood, though she'd never worked up the courage to speak to him directly. She's not a threat, she's just curious. But her Byakugan is useless against our barriers. She can't see into our bases. She can't track our movements when we don't want to be tracked. She can only observe the surface-level inconsistencies. Naruto smiled behind his mask. "Let her watch. Let her wonder. If she gets too close, we'll recruit her." "Recruit? But she's loyal to Konoha." Loyalty can be redirected when properly motivated. Hinata has suffered from her clan's pressure her entire life, treated as a failure despite her talent, compared unfavorably to her younger sister, never acknowledged by her father. Shadow's eyes gleamed. She wants someone to see her true worth. We can provide that. Alpha bowed. "As you command, Master." The warehouse district at midnight provided perfect cover. Shadow Garden's newest recruit-to-be didn't know she was already surrounded by 12 operatives, each positioned to intervene if Hinata Hyuga proved hostile. Naruto watched from the rooftop opposite, his form hidden in darkness, as the pale-eyed girl approached the abandoned building where he deliberately left traces of his entry. She activated her Byakugan, those lavender veins bulging around her eyes, and frowned when the building's interior remained blank to her vision. Good. Beta's barrier seals were working perfectly. Hinata hesitated only a moment before entering through the front door. Naruto smiled and dropped through a shadow portal, emerging inside the warehouse before she could take 3 steps. He remained in his civilian clothes, orange and black jacket, blonde hair, blue eyes, but allowed his presence to shift. The air pressure changed. The temperature dropped slightly. His chakra, normally suppressed to genin levels, leaked just enough to make the space feel occupied by something far more dangerous than a dead last academy failure. Hinata froze, her Byakugan immediately focusing on him. Her eyes widened. "In, Naruto-kun." Her voice trembled, but she didn't retreat. "Brave girl. Your chakra, it's different. It's massive, controlled, nothing like what I show the village." Naruto's voice was his own, but his tone had shifted. Less energetic idiot, more calm certainty. "You've been watching me for 6 weeks, Hinata, documenting inconsistencies, building a case, very thorough work." She flinched. "How did you know you were watching?" He walked forward slowly, hands in his pockets. "Because I wanted you to watch. Because Shadow Garden has been observing you since you first started your surveillance. Because every step you've taken toward this moment was one I allowed you to take." Hinata's hands moved to a defensive taijutsu stance, her Byakugan reading his chakra network. What she saw made her gasp. His pathways weren't just large, they were impossibly dense, compressed, circulating energy that didn't match any chakra she'd ever encountered, purple instead of blue, structured differently, foreign. "What are you?" she whispered. "I am Naruto Uzumaki, dead last of the academy, future Hokage, container of the Nine-Tails Fox. He stopped 10 feet away. I am also Shadow, leader of Shadow Garden, hunter of the cult of Diablos, the Eminence in Shadow. His eyes shifted from blue to violet, his hair darkening with purple highlights. I am both. I have always been both. The transformation wasn't complete, no slime suit, no full shadow persona, but enough to prove his claim. Hinata's Byakugan tracked the energy flowing through his body as it shifted, restructured, became something that shouldn't exist. The mysterious organization, she breathed. The one that saved Konoha during the invasion. That stopped Sasuke's defection. That hunts criminals in the night. That was you? Me and 50 others who've sworn themselves to Shadow Garden's cause. Naruto gestured, and Alpha materialized from the shadows behind Hinata. The Hyuga girl spun, her Byakugan tracking the black-suited woman who'd appeared without any chakra signature preceding her arrival. My followers are skilled, loyal, and utterly devoted to destroying the cult that has corrupted this world for centuries. Hinata's gaze flickered between Naruto and Alpha, processing impossibilities. But you've always been so. Weak? Incompetent? The dead last who can barely throw a kunai straight? Naruto's smile was self-aware. That's the point. The greatest power is power no one knows you have. I am the mob character everyone overlooks, which makes me the perfect shadow to operate from. No one suspects the fool. Why are you telling me this? Hinata's voice steadied, her shinobi training overriding her shock. If your identity is such a secret, why reveal it to me instead of just eliminating me? Because you're not a threat, Hinata Hyuga. You're an opportunity. Shadow, because he was Shadow now, even without the full costume, walked in a slow circle around her. Alpha remained motionless, her presence radiating controlled lethality. You've suffered under your clan's expectations your entire life. The main branch treating you as a failure. Your father's disappointment. Your younger sister Hanabi surpassing you despite your natural talent. The caged bird seal hanging over your future like a guillotine blade. Hinata flinched at each point. They were all true, all painful. But I see what they don't, Shadow continued. Your Byakugan isn't weak. It's being suppressed by the very seal that's supposed to protect your bloodline. The Hyuga clan's seal system isn't just for preventing eye theft. It's a form of curse possession designed centuries ago by the cult to limit your clan's true potential. You could be 10 times stronger if that corruption was purified. Curse possession? Hinata's hand moved unconsciously to her forehead, where the main branch seal would one day be placed if she continued to fail in her father's eyes. What are you talking about? Shadow gestured to Alpha. Show her. Alpha stepped forward and removed her mask, revealing Haku's beautiful feminine features. Hinata's Byakugan could see the incredibly pure chakra flowing through the ice user's system. No corruption, no blockages, perfectly optimized. I was dying of cursed possession when Master Shadow found me, Haku said, her voice filled with genuine reverence. The cult had manipulated my bloodline's awakening, turning my ice release into a poison that would have killed me within months. Master Shadow purified me, saved my life, and gave me purpose. Now I serve Shadow Garden and the mission to save others like I was saved. I can do the same for you, Shadow said, his violet eyes meeting Hinata's lavender ones. I can purify the Hyuga Seal's corruption, unlock your Byakugan's full potential, and give you the strength to stand as an equal to any shinobi in this world. In exchange, you join Shadow Garden. You become one of my blades in the darkness. You help hunt the cult that has poisoned your clan for generations. Hinata stood silent, her mind racing. Everything she knew about Naruto Uzumaki was being recontextualized. The boy she'd admired from afar, the one who never gave up, who smiled through adversity. He was actually the most dangerous individual she'd ever encountered, and he was offering her power, purpose, freedom from her clan's expectations. If I refuse, she asked quietly, then your memories of this conversation are sealed, and you wake up in your bed tomorrow believing you fell asleep while training. You continue your life as the Hyuga heiress. No harm comes to you. Shadow Garden doesn't punish curiosity. Shadow's expression was sincere. I only recruit those who choose willingly. Forced loyalty is worthless. And if I accept, then you become Zeta of Shadow Garden. You train in techniques that will make the Hyuga clan's gentle fist look like a child's game. You learn to use your Byakugan in ways your ancestors never imagined, and you join me in the mission to save this world from the shadows that corrupt it." Hinata looked at Haku, seeing the absolute devotion in the other woman's eyes when she looked at Shadow himself, seeing the terrible power barely contained in his form. And she thought about her life, the disappointment, the pressure, the feeling of never being good enough. She knelt. "I accept," Hinata said, her voice clear and certain. "Teach me. Use me. I want to be strong enough to matter." Shadow smiled and placed his hand on her forehead. Purple energy flowed from his palm into her seal, and Hinata gasped as power flooded her system. The suppression she'd lived with her entire life shattered like glass. Her Byakugan activated involuntarily, and suddenly she could see everything, not just chakra networks, but the magic underlying reality itself, the dimensional layers, the very structure of Shadow's impossible power. "Welcome to Shadow Garden Zeta," Shadow said as the purification completed. "Your training begins tonight." 3 months passed in a blur of secret training and public incompetence. By day, Naruto remained the dead last, failing tests, bungling missions, generally being the lovable idiot everyone expected. By night, Hinata trained with Shadow Garden, her purified Byakugan growing stronger every session. She discovered quickly that she wasn't Shadow's only special interest. The first night she'd stayed late after training, helping Beta catalog new intelligence on cult movements in Lightning Country, she'd stumbled upon Shadow and Alpha in what was clearly an intimate moment. They hadn't been doing anything overtly sexual, but the way Alpha touched Shadow's face, the way he held her waist, the soft words exchanged, it was unmistakably romantic. Hinata had fled, her face burning with embarrassment and something that felt uncomfortably like jealousy. The next day, Haku, because off duty, Alpha was Haku, had found her. "You saw us," Haku said simply. They were alone in one of Shadow Garden's training rooms, supposedly working on Hinata's taijutsu forms. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. Don't apologize." Haku's expression was calm, understanding. "You have feelings for Master Shadow. I saw it the moment you joined, the way you look at him, even when he's playing the fool as Naruto Uzumaki." Hinata's face burned red. "I don't." "You do. It's fine." Haku smiled slightly. "I love him too. So does Gamma and Delta and Beta. So does Epsilon and several others. Master Shadow is exceptional. It would be strange if we didn't develop feelings for the man who saved us, who gave us purpose, who wields power that makes gods look like children." "But Hinata struggled with the words. "You're his first, his favorite. I'm his first follower, yes. His primary partner, perhaps. But Master Shadow's heart is vast enough for all of us." Haku stepped closer, her voice gentle. "He cares for each of us individually, values our unique strengths, appreciates what we bring to Shadow Garden. There's no competition, Hinata. We all serve the same purpose. We all love the same man. And we all understand that he belongs to the shadows, not to any one person." "I don't understand," Hinata whispered. "How can you share him?" "Because he's not really Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who dreams of being Hokage. He's Shadow, the Eminence, the one who shapes reality from darkness. You can't possess something like that. You can only be grateful to exist in his orbit." Haku's eyes gleamed with absolute devotion. "And when he comes to you, when he chooses to spend his precious time with you, when he shows you the real person underneath the theatrical persona, that's when you understand. It doesn't matter that he's with others. What matters is that he's with you in that moment, completely and genuinely." Hinata absorbed this, her mind reeling. "Has he chosen you? That way?" Haku's smile was soft and private. "Yes, 3 weeks ago, after we destroyed a cult stronghold in Rice Country, he told me I was special to him, that he valued me beyond my service to Shadow Garden. And then he showed me." She touched her stomach unconsciously. "I'm carrying his child." Hinata's eyes went wide, her Byakugan automatically activating to confirm it. There, a tiny chakra signature inside Haku's womb, barely visible but definitely present. Mixed chakra, purple and blue swirled together. "You're pregnant," Hinata breathed. "I am, and I couldn't be happier." Haku's expression was radiantly joyful. "Master Shadow's legacy will continue through me. Our child will be the first of the next generation of Shadow Garden. Does he know?" "I told him this morning." "He was." Haku paused, searching for words. Genuinely surprised, For all his power and planning, he had anticipated this, but he was pleased. He said the child would be extraordinary, mixing our bloodlines, and he promised to protect us both, always. Hinata felt something twist in her chest, jealousy mixed with longing, mixed with confusion. I don't know if I can do this. Share him like that. Then don't, Haku said simply. Master Shadow doesn't force anything. If you want to be only his follower, his operative, he'll respect that completely. But if you want more... She met Hinata's eyes. Don't let fear or convention stop you. Society's rules don't apply to Shadow Garden. We make our own rules in the darkness. That conversation haunted Hinata for days. She watched Shadow more carefully now, seeing how he interacted with other female members. He was professional during operations, focused and commanding. But in quiet moments, she caught glimpses of genuine affection. The way he listened when Beta excitedly explained her latest Chronicle entry, how he praised Gamma's logistical improvements, the rare genuine smile when Delta returned from a particularly violent mission covered in enemy blood. He cared for them, genuinely, and they adored him in return. The realization that Hinata wanted his attention, his affection, his approval, came during a mission in Wave Country. They were investigating reports of cursed possession in a fishing village, and Shadow had paired Hinata with him personally, leaving the rest of the team to handle perimeter security. They moved through the village at night, Hinata's Byakugan scanning for corrupted chakra, while Shadow's presence suppressed any hostile detection. They worked in perfect sync, their movements coordinated like partners who trained together for years rather than months. "You've improved remarkably," Shadow said as they paused on a rooftop overlooking the target building. "Your Byakugan's range has tripled since purification. Your chakra control is Jonin level, and your combat techniques..." He smiled. "You're not the shy girl who could barely fight anymore." "You made me stronger," Hinata said quietly. "Everything I am now is because you saved me from my clan's limitations. I only removed the chains. The strength was always yours." He looked at her with those violet eyes, and for a moment, he wasn't Shadow the theatrical mastermind. He was just someone who genuinely appreciated her. "You're remarkable, Hinata. Never doubt that." Her heart hammered in her chest. Before she could lose her courage, she spoke. "Haku told me about your relationship, about the others." Shadow's expression didn't change. "And how do you feel about that?" "I don't know. Confused, jealous, but also..." She took a breath. "Also hopeful, because if you can care for her, for them, maybe you could." She couldn't finish the sentence. Shadow stepped closer, his hand gently lifting her chin so their eyes met. "Maybe I could care for you too?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. "I already do," he said simply. "You're brilliant, Hinata. Your analytical mind, your gentle heart that coexists with newfound strength, your absolute loyalty. How could I not care for you?" His thumb brushed her cheek. "But I won't pressure you into anything. If you want only professional respect, that's what you'll have. If you want more..." He let the sentence hang. "I want more," Hinata whispered, her courage finally found. "I want what Haku has, what the others have. I want to be special to you." Shadow kissed her then, soft and gentle and absolutely perfect. When he pulled back, his smile was genuine. "You already are special to me," he said. "Never forget that." They completed the mission in a daze. Well, Hinata was in a daze. Shadow remained perfectly focused, eliminating 3 cult operatives and rescuing 5 corrupted civilians with his usual overwhelming efficiency. But afterward, when they returned to Shadow Garden's headquarters, he took her to his private quarters. What followed was tender and intimate, and nothing like Hinata's nervous imaginings. Shadow was patient, attentive, genuinely caring about her comfort and pleasure. He showed her the real person underneath the theatrical persona, someone who genuinely valued connection, who appreciated the trust she placed in him, who wanted her to know she mattered beyond her utility to Shadow Garden. Afterward, as they lay together in the darkness, Shadow's arms around her, Hinata felt complete in a way she never had before. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me. For making me matter." Shadow's arms tightened around her. "You've always mattered, Hinata. I just helped you see it yourself." She fell asleep in his embrace, genuinely happy for the first time in her life. The attack on Konoha came without warning 6 weeks later. Hinata was training with Gamma in one of Shadow Garden's underground facilities when the alarm sounded. Beta's voice echoed through the communication seals. All operatives to stations. Akatsuki has entered Konoha. Target confirmed. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Master Shadow is engaging. Hinata's blood went cold. Akatsuki was after Naruto. After Shadow. She rushed to the surface, emerging in the commercial district where civilians were already fleeing in panic. Two figures stood in the main street, their black cloaks marked with red clouds, Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hoshigaki. And facing them alone, standing with his hands in his pockets and his orange jacket fluttering in the wind, was Naruto Uzumaki. "You again," Naruto said, his voice carrying that particular energetic idiot tone. "I thought we told you to stay away from Konoha." "The Nine-Tails must be extracted," Itachi said calmly, his Sharingan already active. "Come with us, Naruto Uzumaki, and we won't harm the village." "Yeah, I'm thinking no." Naruto scratched his head. "See, I've got plans tonight. Ramen at Ichiraku. Can't miss that." Kasame grinned, hefting Samehada. "The kid's got guts. Let's see how long they stay inside his body." They attacked simultaneously, Itachi with genjutsu, Kasame with overwhelming physical power. Naruto stumbled backward, barely dodging, his movements clumsy and desperate. Hinata watched from a rooftop with her Byakugan active, and what she saw made her smile. Naruto's chakra, visible to her enhanced vision, was completely calm and controlled. Every stumble was precisely calculated. Every desperate dodge placed him exactly where he needed to be. He was playing with them, making it look like they were overwhelming him, while actually controlling the entire fight. He led them away from the commercial district, toward the training grounds where civilians wouldn't be endangered. Itachi and Kisame followed, confident they had their prey on the run. Then Might Guy arrived with Kakashi and several ambush squads. The fight escalated into a running battle across Konoha, with Naruto staying just barely ahead of Itachi's pursuit, while the Jonin engaged Kasame. Hinata tracked their movement, ready to intervene if Shadow actually needed help. But a hand on her shoulder stopped her. Alpha stood beside her, masked and ready. Master Shadow doesn't need help. He's testing them, learning their capabilities for future confrontation. "Should we assist the Jonin?" Hinata asked. "No, they can handle themselves, and Master Shadow wants Akatsuki to believe Konoha's defenses are all they face. The longer Akatsuki doesn't know Shadow Garden exists as a major player, the better our strategic position." They watched as the battle concluded with Itachi and Kisame retreating, apparently driven off by Konoha's forces and the arrival of Jiraiya. Naruto collapsed, exhausted and scared, completely selling the image of a lucky survivor. Later that night, in Shadow Garden's headquarters, Shadow addressed his assembled operatives. "Akatsuki's attack confirms what we suspected," he said, his theatrical voice echoing through the chamber. "They're accelerating their timeline. The cult wants the Biju, and they're willing to attack the 5 great nations to get them. This means war is coming. The 4th Great Ninja War, where the cult will reveal itself and attempt to resurrect their true master." "Then we should warn the Kage," Beta suggested, her pen poised over her chronicle. "No. If we warn them, the cult goes underground and adapts. We need them to commit fully to their plan, to expose themselves completely." Shadow's eyes gleamed. "We let them start their war, and then Shadow Garden ends it from the shadows, destroying the cult's leadership while the nations fight their army." "A dangerous strategy, Master," Alpha said. "Many will die. Many will die regardless. The cult has been planning this for centuries. We can't stop the war's beginning, but we can ensure its ending favors us." Shadow looked at each of his followers in turn. "Prepare for extended operations. Triple our intelligence gathering. I want to know every cult operative, every Akatsuki movement, every piece of their plan. When the war comes, Shadow Garden will be ready." They bowed in unison. "Yes, Master Shadow." That night after the meeting, Shadow came to Hinata's quarters. He still wore his shadow persona, the slime suit and dark presence, but his eyes were soft when he looked at her. "I'm sorry I worried you today," he said quietly. "You were never in danger," Hinata replied, gesturing for him to sit beside her. "I could see it with my Byakugan. You were in complete control." "I was, but I know you care about me, even the Naruto persona. It must have been stressful watching Akatsuki attack." Hinata took his hand, feeling the magic compressed energy flowing through his system. "I trust you completely, but yes, seeing you fight was concerning. even knowing you're the strongest person alive. Shadow pulled her close, and she felt his slime suit dissolve partially, revealing skin beneath. I won't let anything happen to you, to any of you. Shadow Garden is my responsibility, my family. I'll protect you all always. I know. Hinata kissed him softly. That's why I love you. The words surprised even her. She hadn't meant to say them out loud, but Shadow just smiled, genuine and warm. I love you too, Hinata. In my own theatrical, dramatic way, I genuinely do. They made love that night with more urgency than before, both aware that war was coming and their time together might become scarce. Afterward, as Hinata drifted towards sleep, Shadow whispered something that made her heart soar. Haku's pregnancy is progressing well. If you want to bear my child too, I would be honored. Hinata's eyes flew open, meeting his violet gaze. You want that? With me? With all of you. Alpha, you the others who've chosen to be with me that way. I want to build a legacy beyond Shadow Garden's mission. I want to create the next generation, children who'll inherit our strength and continue protecting the world from shadows. Yes, Hinata breathed, her heart thundering. Yes, I want that. I want to give you a child. Shadow kissed her forehead. Then we'll make that happen. After the war, when the cult is destroyed and the world is safe, Shadow Garden will become not just an organization, but a family. Our children will be extraordinary. Hinata fell asleep that night imagining the future, a world without the cult, where she could raise Shadow's children surrounded by the other women who loved him, all of them united in purpose and affection. It was a beautiful dream, and Shadow would make it reality. 2 years passed in careful preparation and public deception. Naruto turned 16, still maintaining his dead-last persona flawlessly, while Shadow Garden grew to over 200 operatives across all 5 great nations. They'd eliminated over 500 cult members, rescued dozens from curse possession, and built an intelligence network that put the major villages' spy systems to shame. And Shadow's family had grown. Haku gave birth to a daughter, Yuki, named for the snow that fell the night of her birth. The girl had her mother's beautiful features and her father's violet eyes, with ice release abilities that manifested from infancy. She was brilliant, precocious, and absolutely adored. Hinata discovered she was pregnant 4 months after Haku's delivery. Her child, a son they would name Hikaru, was already showing signs of inheriting both the Byakugan and Shadow's magic compression abilities. The pregnancy was progressing beautifully. Karen, Beta of Shadow Garden, had also become pregnant, though she'd kept it secret from everyone except Shadow and Alpha for the first trimester. Her child would combine her sensor abilities with Shadow's overwhelming power. Tayuya, Gamma, and Anko Delta had both entered relationships with Shadow as well, though neither was pregnant yet. The 5 women had formed a close bond, supporting each other through pregnancies and missions, united in their devotion to Shadow and each other. Shadow Garden had become exactly what Shadow envisioned, a family of warriors bound by love and purpose. But the peace couldn't last. The 4th Great Ninja War erupted when Obito Uchiha, revealed as the masked man Tobi, who'd been manipulating Akatsuki, declared war on the 5 great nations simultaneously. He'd captured the 7 tails and attempted to capture the 8 tails and 9 tails, triggering a coalition response. The 5 Kage met and formed the allied shinobi forces, pooling their military might against Akatsuki's threat. Naruto Uzumaki, publicly known as the 9 Tails Jinchuriki, was hidden away on a secret island to keep him safe from capture, except Shadow Garden knew exactly where the island was and had been monitoring it for months. On the war's 3rd day, as the allied forces clashed with an army of 100,000 white Zetsu and dozens of resurrected shinobi controlled by Kabuto's impure world Reincarnation, Shadow made his move. Not as Naruto. As Shadow. He appeared on the battlefield at midnight, descending from the sky with purple energy cascading around him like a cloak of stars. His theatrical entrance was perfectly timed. Dozens of shinobi looked up and saw a figure of absolute power hovering above the conflict. "Who is that?" someone shouted. "I am Shadow." His voice boomed across the battlefield, magically amplified. "I am the Eminence who moves behind the world's curtain. I am the hunter of the cult of Diablos, and I am here to end this war." He raised his hand, and purple energy condensed into a sphere above his palm. "I am atomic." The sphere descended toward the white Zetsu army with terrible purpose. The explosion was catastrophic, a perfect dome of violet light that vaporized everything within a 2-kilometer radius. 20,000 white Zetsu disappeared in an instant, turned to atomic dust. The battlefield fell silent in shock. Shadow descended slowly, landing in the crater his attack had created. Steam rose from the glassed earth around him. The cult of Diablos has manipulated this world for centuries, Shadow declared, his voice carrying to every shinobi present. They created the Biju as weapons. They corrupted bloodlines through cursed possession. They orchestrated wars to harvest chakra and suffering. And now they've revealed themselves through Akatsuki, thinking they can claim the world openly. He turned to face the Allied forces' leadership, the 5 Kage who'd gathered to observe the battle. Shadow Garden has been hunting the cult for years. We've destroyed hundreds of their operatives. We've saved thousands from their corruption. And now we offer the Allied forces a choice. Work with us to destroy the cult's leadership or stay out of our way while we do it ourselves. Tsunade, the 5th Hokage, stepped forward. She'd been briefed on Shadow Garden's activities. Kakashi's reports had been thorough, but seeing Shadow in person was different. His power was overwhelming, his presence absolute. Shadow, she said carefully, your organization has operated in our nations without permission. You've killed people, recruited our citizens, and acted as a vigilante force. Why should we trust you? Because we've saved more lives than we've taken. Because every person we've killed was a cult operative. Because every recruit we've gained was someone we saved from cursed possession or worse. Shadow's eyes gleamed. And because I'm offering you a common enemy. The cult wants to resurrect Kaguya Otsutsuki, the mother of chakra, and use her power to enslave all of humanity. Are you really going to let pride prevent you from accepting help against that threat? The Kage exchanged glances. The Tsuchikage Onoki spoke up. What proof do you have of this cult's existence? We've never heard of them. Because they operate from the shadows, just as Shadow Garden does. But they've left traces. Shadow gestured, and Beta emerged from the darkness, carrying a massive tome. My chronicler has documented every cult operative we've identified, every experiment we've stopped, every connection we've uncovered. Read it, verify the information, then tell me I'm wrong. Beta approached and presented the chronicle to Tsunade. The Hokage opened it and began reading. Her expression grew darker with each page. These names, some of these are Konoha shinobi, active duty Ambu. Cult infiltrators, Shadow confirmed. Root was a cult branch, hidden within your village by Danzo Shimura. We eliminated most of them during our operations, but some remain. Danzo is dead, Tsunade said flatly. Because I killed him, Shadow replied without emotion. He was a high-ranking cult leader, responsible for dozens of experiments on children, including the massacre of the Uchiha clan. That declaration sent shock waves through the assembled shinobi. The Uchiha massacre was attributed to Itachi Uchiha, a rogue ninja who'd supposedly gone insane. But Shadow was claiming cult involvement? Explain, Tsunade demanded. The Uchiha clan was being corrupted by cursed possession, amplified through their Sharingan. Danzo manipulated Itachi Uchiha into performing the massacre, claiming it was to prevent a coup. In reality, Danzo wanted to harvest Sharingan for cult experiments while eliminating a clan that might have resisted cult influence. Shadow's expression was grim. Itachi Uchiha has been dying of cursed possession ever since, the corruption eating him alive for his sacrifice. Where is Itachi now? Tsunade asked. With Shadow Garden. We purified him 6 months ago and recruited him. He's currently operating in Rain Country, hunting Akatsuki's leadership with teams Delta and Epsilon. The revelations kept coming, each one more shocking than the last. By the time Shadow finished explaining the cult's structure, Obito as a high-ranking leader, Madara Uchiha's preserved consciousness as the ultimate puppet master, Black Zetsu as a cult construct, the plan to resurrect Kaguya, the Kage looked genuinely shaken. If what you say is true, the Mizukage Meitarumi said slowly, then this war is just a distraction. The real battle is against this cult. Correct. Obito is buying time for Madara's resurrection. Once Madara returns with the Rinnegan, he'll become the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki and trigger the infinite Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu meant to trap all of humanity in a dream while the cult harvests their chakra to resurrect Kaguya. Shadow's voice was deadly serious. We have perhaps 3 days before that happens. Shadow Garden will engage Madara directly when he resurrects. We ask only that the allied forces handle the Zetsu army and give us clear access to the real threat. The Raikage A slammed his fist into his palm. And we're supposed to just let you mysterious shadow warriors handle the biggest threat while we mop up? Yes, Shadow said simply, because you can't defeat Madara Uchiha. I can. The arrogance should have been insulting, but something in Abzo's certainty, his overwhelming presence, made it feel like simple fact. Tsunade made the decision. Fine. Shadow Garden will engage the cult's leadership. Allied forces will handle the army and provide support where needed. But Shadow, when this is over, you and I are going to have a long conversation about your organization operating in my village. Shadow's smile was visible, even in the darkness. I look forward to it, Hokage-sama. He vanished into the shadows, leaving the Kage to organize their forces. The battle for the world's fate began in earnest. Shadow Garden deployed in full force for the first time in its existence. 200 operatives, each trained to elite Jonin level or beyond, each wielding techniques that combine chakra and magic in unprecedented ways. Alpha led the assault teams, her ice techniques combined with Shadow Garden training, making her a force of nature. She'd left baby Yuki in the care of Shadow Garden support staff at headquarters, promising to return victorious. Hinata, 7 months pregnant, wanted to fight, but Shadow had forbidden it. You're carrying our son, he'd said gently but firmly. I won't risk both of you. Stay at headquarters, coordinate intelligence. That's just as important. She'd argued but ultimately agreed, knowing he was right. Beta chronicled everything from a protected observation post, her pen flying across pages as she documented the war for future generations. Gamma managed logistics, ensuring ammunition, medical supplies, and reinforcements reached teams that needed them. Delta unleashed herself on the battlefield with savage joy, her enhanced strength allowing her to tear through white Zetsu by the dozens. She laughed as she fought, covered in enemy uchre, absolutely in her element. And Shadow himself moved across the battlefield like a god of destruction. He appeared wherever the fighting was thickest, his I am atomic technique vaporizing enemy concentrations. He saved allied shinobi who would have died, eliminated impure world reincarnation summons with overwhelming force, and generally cemented his legend with every action. Shinobi who'd never heard of Shadow before that day would remember him forever. The figure in black who moved like liquid darkness, who wielded purple energy that bent reality, who spoke with theatrical flair about shadows and destiny while casually destroying armies. On the war's 5th day, Madara Uchiha was resurrected. Kabuto Yakushi, working from a hidden cave, completed the impure world reincarnation summons that brought back the legendary Uchiha in his prime. But something went wrong, or perhaps right, from Shadow's perspective. Instead of being under Kabuto's control, Madara broke free immediately. The Rinnegan allowed him to sever the technique's binding, giving him autonomous action. And Obito, seeing his ancestors return, immediately transferred control of the Gedo statue and the captured Biju chakra to Madara's location. The Ten Tails began reforming. Shadow felt it happen. A massive convergence of corrupted chakra pulling together miles away from the main battlefield. He smiled behind his mask. Finally, the real fight begins. He teleported using shadow movement, covering the distance instantaneously. The Ten Tails was emerging from the ground, a massive monster of pure chakra and hatred. And standing before it, orchestrating its summoning, was Madara Uchiha. The legendary shinobi looked exactly as history described. Long black hair, red armor with Uchiha symbols, eyes containing the Rinnegan's distinctive ripple pattern. His presence was crushing, the aura of someone who'd fought gods and won. He turned as Shadow appeared and smiled. So the mysterious Shadow reveals himself. I've been hearing about your organization's interference. Madara's voice was cultured, almost conversational. Hunting the cult of Diablos, purifying cursed possession, quite the elaborate fantasy you've constructed. It's not fantasy, Shadow replied, his theatrical voice matching Madara's calm. The cult is real. You're one of its leaders, and I'm here to end you. Is that so? Madara's smile widened. And what makes you think you can succeed where entire nations have failed? Because I am the Eminence in Shadow. I am the power that moves behind reality's curtain. I am the hunter of those who corrupt the world. Shadow's energy began rising, purple light cascading off his form. And you, Madara Uchiha, are prey. Madara laughed, genuinely amused. Finally, a worthy opponent. Let's see if your power matches your confidence. They attacked simultaneously. Madara opened with perfect Susanoo, a colossal chakra construct hundreds of feet tall, armored and wielding massive weapons. It was a technique that had fought the first Hokage himself, power that had shaped history. Shadow countered with I am atomic sword. His blade of compressed magic extended, matching the Susanoo's size. When they collided, reality screamed. The shockwave leveled the forest for miles in every direction. Mountains crumbled, the earth split open, and Shadow's blade cut through Susanoo like butter. Madara's eyes widened fractionally as his ultimate defense was bisected. He abandoned it immediately, reforming on the ground, his Rinnegan spinning rapidly. Impressive, but let's see how you handle this. He performed hand seals. Planetary devastation. A black sphere formed above Shadow, generating crushing gravitational force. The ground began ripping upward, rocks and earth flying toward the sphere to form a massive prison. Shadow stood calmly in the center of the devastation, untouched by the gravitational pull. Gravity manipulation? How pedestrian. He raised one hand and the gravitational force reversed. The planetary devastation sphere imploded on itself and disappeared. My magic compression technique operates on a fundamental level beneath chakra. Your Rinnegan tricks can't affect me. He vanished and reappeared behind Madara, his hand crackling with purple energy. I am atomic, needle. A thin beam of compressed magic shot toward Madara's spine. The Uchiha used limbo, invisible shadows from another dimension, to block the attack, but Shadow's magic punched through them like they didn't exist. Madara barely dodged, the beam grazing his shoulder and vaporizing his entire right arm. He regenerated instantly, using the impure world reincarnation body's advantages, but his expression had shifted from amusement to serious evaluation. You're not using chakra, Madara observed. This purple energy is something else entirely. Magic, the power that predates chakra, that underlies reality itself. Shadow's smile was visible behind his mask. The cult thought they'd found ultimate power in chakra manipulation. They were wrong. Magic is absolute. The battle escalated. Madara summoned meteors from the sky, massive chunks of rock pulled from orbit using Rinnegan techniques. Shadow destroyed them with atomic blasts, each explosion painting the sky purple. Madara used wood release on a scale that rivaled Hashirama Senju himself, creating forests that tried to bind Shadow. Shadow vaporized them with walls of compressed magic that turned wood to atomic dust. They fought across dimensions as Madara used his Rinnegan's dimensional shifting abilities. Shadow followed effortlessly, his magic allowing him to perceive and traverse dimensional boundaries without needing special eyes. The fight lasted 3 hours of continuous combat, both fighters pushing their abilities to the limits. The landscape was destroyed for dozens of miles in every direction, reshaped by their clash, and slowly, Shadow began winning. Madara's impure world reincarnation body was failing, damaged faster than it could regenerate. Shadow's magic attacked on a level the resurrection technique couldn't defend against, not destroying the body but unraveling the very magic binding Madara's soul to it. Impossible, Madara gasped as his body began dissolving. I'm supposed to be immortal in this form. The impure world reincarnation is a cult technique, using corrupted magic to bind souls. I've purified dozens of people from similar corruption. Shadow's hand glowed with purple energy as he pressed it against Madara's chest. Your soul is being freed from its binding. You're being sent to the pure land where you belong. Madara felt it happening, his consciousness detaching from the resurrected body, being pulled toward the afterlife. He laughed bitterly. Defeated by someone I've never heard of, using power I didn't know existed. How fitting. Any final words? Shadow asked, his tone almost respectful. Tell Hashirama I'm sorry, and tell whoever comes after me. Madara's form was almost completely dissolved now. The cult runs deeper than you know. Black Zetsu was never my creation. It was... He disappeared completely before finishing the sentence. Shadow stood alone in the devastated landscape, breathing hard. That fight had actually pushed him, forced him to use more power than any battle since arriving in this world. It was exhilarating. But the war wasn't over. The Ten Tails was still active, rampaging across the battlefield without Madara's control. And Black Zetsu, the creature Madara had mentioned, was still out there somewhere. Shadow activated his communication seal. Alpha, what's the Ten Tails' status? Destroying everything in its path, Master. The Allied forces are being overwhelmed. Casualties are mounting. Then I'll handle it. Shadow Garden, converge on my location. We're ending this now. They came from across the battlefield. 200 operatives in black slime suits, moving in perfect coordination. Alpha arrived first, her ice techniques already forming around her hands. Delta crashed through a tree line, laughing wildly. The others materialized from shadows, ready for orders. Shadow looked at his assembled force, his family, his purpose, his legacy, and felt pride swell in his chest. That creature is the cult's ultimate weapon, he declared, pointing toward the massive Ten Tails. It's a concentration of all the corrupted chakra the cult has harvested over centuries. Destroying it will cripple their plans permanently. How do we kill something that size, Master? One of the newer operatives asked. Shadow's smile was theatrical and wild. With overwhelming force. Everyone, lend me your energy. We're going to hit it with everything Shadow Garden has. They understood immediately. 200 operatives formed a circle around Shadow, each one channeling their chakra and magic toward him. Purple energy flowed like rivers of light, converging on Shadow's raised hand. The sphere that formed above his palm grew larger than ever before. Not 20 feet, but 200 feet in diameter. A miniature sun of compressed magic that illuminated the entire battlefield like daylight. This, Shadow declared, his voice magically amplified across the entire continent, is the power of Shadow Garden. This is the power that destroys corruption. This is the end of the cult's ambition. He brought his hand down with dramatic finality. I am atomic. Extinction. The sphere descended toward the Ten Tails with apocalyptic purpose. The creature tried to escape, but Shadow Garden operatives had already formed barriers preventing dimensional shifts. It tried to defend with chakra shields, but Shadow's magic shattered them instantly. The sphere touched the Ten Tails' head. Reality broke. The explosion was silent at first, a perfect dome of violet light expanding at the speed of sound. Then the shockwave hit, a wall of force that flattened everything for 50 miles. The sound followed, a thunderclap so massive it was heard across the continent, shaking buildings in distant villages. When the light faded, the Ten Tails was gone, completely vaporized. Not even dust remained, just a crater 10 miles wide and 2 miles deep, the edges glazed into perfect glass from the heat. Steam rose from the ocean water already filling the depression. Shadow lowered his hands slowly, his entire body trembling from the exertion. That had been the largest technique he'd ever performed, pushing his magic compression to absolute limits. Alpha caught him as his knees buckled. Master! I'm fine, he assured her, though his voice was strained. Just need a moment. The Allied shinobi forces stood in stunned silence, staring at the crater. They'd just witnessed a single attack that destroyed what dozens of Kage-level shinobi couldn't even scratch. Shadow had just redefined what powerful meant. But as Shadow recovered, something moved in the crater's depths. Black Zetsu emerged from the melted rock, its black form untouched by the atomic blast. It had hidden itself at the dimensional boundary, surviving through techniques Shadow hadn't accounted for. And it was laughing. Impressive. Truly impressive. Black Zetsu's voice was feminine, ancient, and utterly alien. You've destroyed Madara, eliminated the Ten Tails, and demonstrated power beyond anything this era has produced. But you're too late, Shadow. The ritual is already complete. Shadow felt it then. A massive surge of chakra from underground, where the Gedo statue's roots had been draining energy for years, gathering power for something far worse than the Ten Tails. No, he whispered, realization hitting him. Madara was a distraction. The Ten Tails was a decoy. You were gathering energy for. The ground split open. Kaguya Otsutsuki emerged from the earth like a goddess ascending from hell. She was beautiful. White skin, long white hair, distinctive horns protruding from her forehead, and eyes containing Rinne Sharingan, the ultimate dojutsu. Her presence was crushing, making Madara's aura feel like a child's tantrum. This was the mother of chakra, the origin of all Kage Genkai, the source of the cult's power, and she was fully resurrected. Hello, Shadow. Kaguya said, her voice echoing with terrible power. Black Zetsu has told me about you. The anomaly who wields power that shouldn't exist. The one who's disrupted my cult's plans for years. Her Rin is sharing and focused on him. I'm going to enjoy consuming you. Shadow stood, Alpha supporting him. His energy was depleted from the extinction technique, but his mind was sharp. This was it, the final battle. Everything had been leading to this moment. Shadow Garden, he said quietly. Fall back. This fight is beyond you. Master, we can help, Alpha began. No, she'll kill you all without effort. I need you alive. I need you to protect Hinata, Haku, the children. Shadow's voice was firm. This is my fight alone. They hesitated, but ultimately obeyed. Shadow Garden withdrew to a safe distance, leaving Shadow facing Kaguya in the massive crater. The goddess smiled. How noble, sacrificing yourself to save your followers. But it won't matter. I'll kill them after I finish with you. You'll try, Shadow replied, his energy beginning to recover. He drew on his magic compression, pulling power from his very soul. But you'll fail, because I'm not just some anomaly. I'm not just the Eminence in Shadow. His form began changing, evolving, becoming something more. The slime suit dissolved, replaced by pure magic that flowed around him like living darkness. His eyes blazed violet. His hair floated in an ethereal wind. I am Naruto Uzumaki, reincarnation of Sid Kagenu. I am the one who turned fantasy into reality. I am the power that shapes the world from shadows. His voice resonated with absolute authority. And I am the one who ends your cult forever. I am Atomic Genesis! Power exploded from his body. Not a single attack, but continuous waves of magic that transformed the battlefield. The crater filled with purple light. Reality itself began restructuring around Shadow's will. Kaguya attacked with her all-killing ash bones, projectiles that would disintegrate anyone they touched. Shadow vaporized them with pulses of magic before they got within 20 feet. She shifted dimensions, moving them to a lava world where gravity was crushing. Shadow adapted instantly, his magic insulating him from both heat and pressure. She created truth-seeking orbs, black spheres that could nullify any chakra-based technique. Shadow's magic punched through them like they were made of tissue paper. Impossible, Kaguya shrieked. You're not using chakra. What is this power? Magic, the fundamental force of reality. You built your cult on corrupted chakra, but magic predates everything you know. Shadow formed a blade of pure magic, hundreds of feet long. You were the first to discover chakra in this world, but you never realized there was something deeper, something absolute. He swung the blade, and Kaguya barely avoided decapitation. The attack carved through dimensions themselves, creating rifts in reality that showed glimpses of other worlds. They fought across multiple dimensions, Kaguya's home territory, ice worlds where temperatures dropped to absolute zero, gravity worlds where pressure could crush mountains, acid worlds where the very air was corrosive. Shadow adapted to each one flawlessly, his magic allowing him to survive and fight at full strength regardless of environment. And slowly, he began overwhelming her. Kaguya Otsutsuki, goddess, mother of chakra, origin of the cult, was losing to a 16-year-old boy who wielded power she couldn't understand. How? She gasped, her body regenerating from Shadow's latest attack. I'm immortal. I created chakra. I shaped this world. You're a parasite, Shadow replied coldly. You came to this world from another dimension, planted the god tree, and harvested its fruit to gain power. But you're not native. You're not fundamental and against fundamental forces. He raised both hands, purple energy condensing into a sphere larger than any he'd created before. You lose. I am atomic. Oblivion. The sphere expanded to encompass the entire dimension they were fighting in. Kaguya tried to escape, but Shadow had sealed the dimensional exits. She tried to defend, but her chakra techniques couldn't block magic the sphere touched her. And Kaguya Otsutsuki, mother of chakra, origin of the cult of Diablos, screamed as her existence was unraveled at the atomic level. Her body dissolved, her chakra dispersed. Her soul was torn from its immortal binding and cast into the void between dimensions, sealed forever. When the light faded, Shadow stood alone in an empty dimension, breathing hard, his magic depleted to critical levels, but victorious. He created a portal back to the original battlefield and stepped through, emerging in the crater where hundreds of allied shinobi and Shadow Garden operatives waited anxiously. Alpha rushed forward, catching him as he collapsed. Master, did you? It's done, Shadow said, his voice exhausted but satisfied. Kaguya is destroyed. The cult is leaderless. The war is over. Cheers erupted across the battlefield. Allied shinobi celebrating their survival. Shadow Garden operatives praising their master's victory. But Shadow just closed his eyes, let Alpha hold him, and smiled. He'd done it. He'd achieved everything he'd dreamed of since reincarnating in this world. He was the Eminence in Shadow, the power that shaped reality from darkness, the legend that people would whisper about for generations. Perfect. The war's aftermath took months to process. The Allied shinobi forces had suffered heavy casualties, 20,000 dead, 30,000 wounded, but had ultimately prevailed. They destroyed the White Zetsu army, eliminated the remaining impure world reincarnation summons, and survived to tell the tale. Shadow Garden's existence became known to the wider world, though the details remained murky. People knew there was an organization led by someone called Shadow, who destroyed the 10 Tails and killed Kaguya Tsutsuki. But who they were, where they operated, what their true purpose was, that remained mysterious, exactly as Shadow preferred. Naruto Uzumaki returned to Konoha as a hero of the war, though his contributions were attributed to lucky timing and the Nine Tails' power. He accepted the praise with his characteristic grin, maintaining his dead-last persona flawlessly. No one except Tsunade and a few high-ranking shinobi suspected he might be Shadow, and they couldn't prove it, so they stayed silent. 3 months after the war ended, Hinata gave birth to their son, Hikaru. The boy had Hinata's Byakugan and Shadow's purple-tinged chakra, a combination that would make him extraordinarily powerful when trained properly. Haku's daughter Yuki was walking now, her ice release manifesting in adorable ways, like freezing her bathwater or creating snowflakes when excited. Karin gave birth to a daughter she named Akane, a sensor type with unprecedented range and precision, able to detect chakra signatures from miles away, even as an infant. Tayuya became pregnant shortly after the war, her child expected within 6 months. Anko was pregnant too, her savage personality mellowing slightly with motherhood approaching. Shadow Garden's headquarters had transformed from a militant organization base into something resembling a large family home. Operatives still trained and went on missions, but there was also a nursery, a daycare, gardens where the children could play. It was everything Shadow had envisioned and more. 1 year after the war, Shadow called a meeting of his inner circle, the women who'd borne his children, the ones who shared not just his bed but his life. They gathered in his private quarters, Haku holding Yuki, Hinata cradling Hikaru, Karin with baby Akane, Tayuya heavily pregnant, and Anko showing early signs of her own pregnancy. "I wanted to thank you," Shadow said. His theatrical persona dropped in this private moment. He was just Naruto here, genuine and unguarded. For everything, for believing in Shadow Garden's mission, for standing with me against the cult, for bearing my children and creating the next generation. "We did it because we love you," Haku said simply, speaking for all of them. "Every mission, every battle, every sacrifice, it was worth it to build this with you." "Our children will be extraordinary," Hinata added, gazing at Hikaru with maternal affection. "They'll inherit our strengths and carry Shadow Garden's purpose forward." "And they'll never know the suffering we experienced," Karin said firmly. "No curse possession, no cult manipulation, no corruption, because you destroyed all of it, Shadow." Shadow, Naruto, looked at each of his children in turn. Yuki with her ice manipulation, Hikaru with his Byakugan and magic compression, Akane with her sensor abilities, and the 2 unborn children who would join them soon. "They'll be raised together," he said, "as siblings, as allies, as family. Shadow Garden will protect them, train them, prepare them for whatever future awaits. And when they're old enough to understand, we'll tell them the truth about the cult, about the war, about everything we fought to protect." "Will you tell them about Sid Kageno?" Haku asked softly. She alone knew the full story, that Shadow was a reincarnation, that he'd come from another world with memories of living as someone else. "Maybe. When they're older, when they can understand what it means." Naruto smiled. "But for now, they just need to know they're loved, that they're special, that they matter." The women agreed, and the conversation shifted to lighter topics, teething problems, sleep schedules, Yuki's first words, Hikaru's first successful chakra control exercise at 6 months old. It was domestic and mundane and absolutely perfect. Later, after the others had left to put the children to bed, Haku remained with Naruto in his quarters. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "The role-playing, the theatrics, the elaborate fantasy you built that became reality?" Naruto considered the question seriously. "No, because the role-playing gave me purpose. It motivated me to become strong, to build Shadow Garden, to hunt the cult even before I knew they were real. If I'd just been normal Naruto Uzumaki, I never would have achieved any of this." "But now you know the cult was real all along, that you weren't fantasizing, you were describing actual reality. Doesn't that change anything?" "It makes the story even better," Naruto replied with a grin. "The dramatic irony reached its peak. I thought I was pretending, but I was actually revealing truth. That's perfect narrative structure." Haku laughed, shaking her head fondly. "You're impossible. Even after everything, you still treat life like theater." "Because life is theater. We're all playing roles, performing for audiences, creating stories with our actions." He pulled her close. "I just made my role more dramatic than most, and I got lucky enough to find people who'd play along." "We didn't play along," Haku corrected gently. "We believed in you, in Shadow Garden, in the mission. That's different from role-playing." "I know, and that's what made it real." Naruto kissed her forehead. "Thank you for being my first follower, for believing when I was just making things up, for loving the person underneath the persona." "Always," Haku promised, her devotion absolute as ever. They made love that night with the gentle familiarity of longtime partners, comfortable and intimate and deeply connected. Afterward, as they lay together in the darkness, Naruto reflected on how far he'd come, from dead last academy student to savior of the world, from lonely orphan to father of 5 children and counting, from role player to legend. It was everything Sid Kaganu had dreamed of and more. 5 years passed in relative peace. The 5 great nations entered an era of cooperation unprecedented in shinobi history. The allied shinobi forces had proven that working together benefited everyone, and the peace treaty signed after the war held strong. Shadow Garden operated openly now, not as vigilantes, but as an officially recognized organization dedicated to hunting remnants of cult activity and protecting people from corruption. They'd been granted legal status by all 5 nations, though they remained independent of any single village's control. Naruto Uzumaki, now 21 years old, had finally stopped being viewed as the dead last. His contributions to the war, attributed to the Nine Tails and lucky timing of course, had earned him respect. He was offered positions of authority multiple times, but always declined, claiming he wasn't ready for that responsibility. In truth, he was far too busy running Shadow Garden and raising his children. Yuki was 6 years old now, a prodigy with ice release who could create complex structures from frozen chakra. She was quiet, serious, and utterly devoted to training. Hikaru was 5, his Byakugan and magic compression making him potentially the strongest of the first generation. He was curious, analytical, and showed early signs of his father's strategic thinking. Akane was 4, her sensor abilities already surpassing most jonin. She could detect emotions as well as chakra, making her extraordinarily empathetic. Tayuya's son Kaito was 4 years old and had inherited his mother's sound manipulation abilities combined with his father's magic compression. He could create techniques that damaged targets on both physical and magical levels. Anko's daughter, Kage, was 4 as well, born 2 weeks after Kaito, and had inherited her mother's combat instincts combined with Shadow's overwhelming power. She was already showing signs of being the most dangerous fighter of her generation. And there were more children, 8 total from Shadow's various relationships with his inner circle. Each one unique, each one powerful, each one loved. Shadow Garden had built a training facility specifically for them, the Next Generation Academy, hidden beneath Konoha in the expanded headquarters. The children trained together, played together, grew together, and they were extraordinary. On a warm spring morning, Shadow stood on a balcony overlooking the training yard where his children practiced combat techniques. Yuki was sparring with Hikaru, her ice against his enhanced taijutsu. Akane was sensing for targets in a stealth exercise. Kaido and Kage were causing chaos with their respective techniques. Alpha, Haku, joined him on the balcony, watching their daughter freeze Hikaru's feet to the ground before he broke free with a burst of chakra. "They're growing so fast," Haku said softly. "Soon they'll be ready for real missions." "Not yet. Let them be children a few more years." Shadow's voice was fond. "They have their whole lives to fight. Let them enjoy peace while it lasts." "Do you think it will last? The peace?" "Honestly, no. There are always threats. Rogue ninja, criminal organizations, new cults that will try to rise in Diablo's place." Shadow's eyes gleamed. "But that's fine. Shadow Garden will handle them, and when our children are ready, they'll join the fight." The legacy continues. Hinata appeared carrying tea, her stomach showing early signs of her fourth pregnancy. She'd become more confident over the years, no longer the shy girl who could barely speak to her crush. Now she was a mother, a warrior, a pillar of Shadow Garden's command structure. "The children are asking when you'll train them personally again," Hinata said, handing Shadow a cup. "They missed their father's attention. I'll train them this afternoon. Promise." Shadow sipped the tea, savoring the moment of domestic peace. "Have there been any new cult sightings?" 3 potential cells in Earth Country. Beta's teams are investigating." Hinata settled beside him, her hand resting on her stomach. "Also, Itachi reported that he's found evidence of a new organization calling themselves Kara. They're experimenting with scientific ninja tools and chakra enhancement. Could be related to the cult's remnants." "Interesting. We'll need to investigate thoroughly." Shadow's mind was already analyzing possibilities, building scenarios, planning operations. Even in peace, his mind never stopped working. The roleplay continued, the theater of being the Eminence and Shadow persisting even when there was no immediate audience. Old habits died hard. That afternoon, Shadow trained with his children personally for the first time in weeks. He demonstrated advanced magic compression techniques, showed them how to blend chakra and magic seamlessly, taught them the principles behind his signature attacks. "Why do you always say the attack names out loud, Father?" Yuki asked, her childish curiosity endearing. "Wouldn't it be more efficient to attack silently?" Shadow grinned. "Because, my dear daughter, the name is part of the technique. The declaration focuses your intent, shapes your power, and makes the attack more effective. But more importantly," he winked, "it's dramatically satisfying. Never underestimate the power of good theater." The children absorbed his lessons with varying degrees of understanding. Some, like Hikaru, grasped the deeper meanings immediately. Others, like Kage, just wanted to blow things up and didn't care about philosophy, but all of them worshiped their father with the same devotion their mothers showed. Shadow was their hero, their teacher, their inspiration, and he loved them for it. That evening, Shadow Garden's command staff, the inner circle who'd fought beside him from the beginning, gathered for a strategic meeting. Alpha presented intelligence reports on potential threats. Beta updated her chronicles, now spanning dozens of volumes, documenting Shadow Garden's entire history. Gamma reviewed logistics and finances. Shadow Garden had become wealthy through legitimate business ventures, funding their operations without relying on external support. Delta gave combat reports with her characteristic bloodthirsty enthusiasm. And the newer members, Itachi, Konan, and several others recruited over the years, added their expertise. Shadow Garden is stronger than ever, Shadow declared at the meeting's conclusion. 200 operatives, 8 bases across the 5 nations, the next generation being trained to continue our mission. We've destroyed the cult of Diablos, saved thousands, and changed the world for the better. "What's next, Master?" Beta asked, pen poised over her chronicle. Shadow smiled his theatrical smile. "Next, we maintain the peace we've created. We hunt any threats that emerge. We protect the innocent from corruption. We train our children to surpass us, and we ensure that Shadow Garden's legend continues for generations to come." "But what about you personally, Master Shadow?" Alpha asked. "What do you want?" It was a question they'd never asked before. Shadow had always been defined by his mission, his organization, his theatrical persona. But what did he want as an individual? Shadow considered carefully before answering. "I want to watch my children grow into legends themselves. I want to see them surpass me, achieve things I never could, create their own stories. I want to be the power in the shadows that guides them, protects them, enables them to shine." His violet eyes gleamed with genuine emotion. I want to be what I've always been, the Eminence in shadow. Not the hero, not the public face, just the power that makes everything possible from the darkness. They understood. They'd always understood. Shadow would never step into the light, never claim public recognition, never abandon his role. He was Shadow. That was his purpose, his identity, his truth, and it would remain so forever. 10 years after the Fourth Great Ninja War, Shadow Garden had become a legend. Children grew up hearing stories about the mysterious organization that saved the world. Historians debated their true nature. Conspiracy theorists developed elaborate theories about their leadership, but concrete facts remained scarce. Shadow Garden operated from the darkness, visible only when they chose to be, mysterious even to those they saved, perfect. Naruto Uzumaki, now 26 years old, had achieved his childhood dream in the most ironic way possible. He wasn't Hokage. Tsunade still held that position, with Kakashi as her likely successor. But everyone in Konoha respected him. Children admired him. The previous generation's ridicule had transformed into genuine appreciation. He was finally acknowledged, just not for the reasons they thought. The public believed Naruto was a war hero who'd gotten lucky, whose Nine Tails power had contributed to victory, who'd grown from dead last to competent shinobi through hard work. They had no idea he was Shadow. They'd never know he was Shadow. And that made it absolutely perfect. His children, the first generation, were now old enough to join Shadow Garden officially. Yuki, at 11, had already completed her first real mission, eliminating a group of rogue ninja attempting to restart cursed possession experiments. Hikaru, at 10, served as a scout and analyst, his Byakugan and strategic mind, making him invaluable for intelligence gathering. The others followed their siblings' examples, each finding their role within Shadow Garden's structure. And there was a second generation now. Younger siblings born over the years, totaling 15 children across Shadow's various relationships. The Next Generation Academy bustled with activity, training future operatives who would carry Shadow Garden's purpose forward. It was a legacy beyond anything Sid Kaganu had imagined in his original life. On a quiet evening, Shadow stood on the Hokage monument overlooking Konoha. The village was peaceful, lights twinkling in the darkness, people living their lives without fear of cult corruption or existential threats. Alpha joined him, as she always did. She was 32 now, still beautiful, still deadly, still absolutely devoted. "We did it," she said softly, taking his hand. "Everything we fought for, peace, safety, family, legacy." "We did," Shadow agreed, squeezing her hand. "The cult is destroyed. The world is safe. Our children are strong." Shadow Garden continues. "What happens now?" "Now?" Shadow's smile was visible in the moonlight. "Now we enjoy what we've built. We watch our children grow. We handle whatever small threats emerge. We live the life we created from the shadows. No more grand battles, no more world-ending threats? Probably not. The Fourth Great Ninja War was the climax. Everything after is epilogue." Shadow turned to face her. "But that's fine. Not every story needs constant escalation. Sometimes the ending is just living, being, existing in the peace you've created." Alpha leaned against him, content. "I love you, even after all these years, even knowing you see life as theater. I genuinely love you." "I know, I love you too. More than I ever thought possible when I first reincarnated here." Shadow's arms wrapped around her. "You were my first follower, my primary partner, the mother of my first child. You're special to me in ways that transcend the roleplay." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching Konoha sleep beneath them. Somewhere in the village, their children were sleeping or training or causing minor chaos. Somewhere, Shadow Garden operatives were on missions, protecting people who'd never know they were protected. Somewhere, Beta was documenting everything for future generations to read and wonder about. The machine Shadow had built continued running smoothly, requiring less direct involvement from him every year. His children were taking over operations gradually, learning to lead, developing their own approaches. Eventually, Shadow would step back completely. Let the next generation run Shadow Garden while he remained the mysterious founder they consulted for wisdom, the ultimate shadowy figure, present but distant, influential but unseen, exactly as he'd always wanted. "Do you ever miss it?" Alpha asked. "The intensity, the battles, the feeling of overwhelming enemies with your power?" "Sometimes," Shadow admitted, The war was the peak of everything I'd worked toward, the ultimate theatrical performance, but he gestured toward Konoha below. This is better. This is what we fought for, not the fighting itself, but what comes after. No regrets? None. Well, maybe one. What? Shadow grinned mischievously. I still haven't perfected my I am atomic speech. The delivery needs work. More dramatic pauses, better build-up. I should practice. Alpha laughed and kissed him to shut him up. When they parted, both were smiling. You're impossible, she said fondly. I'm the Eminence in Shadow. He replied with mock seriousness. Impossible is part of my aesthetic. They returned to Shadow Garden headquarters together, walking through streets where nobody recognized them as anyone important. Just another couple on an evening walk, unremarkable and ordinary, exactly as Shadow preferred. 20 years after the Fourth Great Ninja War, Konoha had entered a golden age. Technology advanced. Prosperity increased. The new generation grew up knowing only peace, unaware of how close they'd come to destruction. Shadow Garden operated quietly in the background, handling threats before they became public knowledge. They'd prevented 3 attempted resurrections of cult remnants, stopped 2 rogue organizations from developing weapons of mass destruction, and generally maintained the peace through invisible vigilance. And Shadow's children had become legends in their own right. Yuki, now 21, led Shadow Garden's combat division. Her ice techniques had evolved beyond anything Haku could do, creating absolute zero temperatures that could freeze opponents on a molecular level. She'd earned the codename Absolute Zero and was feared across the underworld. Hikaru, at 20, commanded intelligence operations. His Byakugan could perceive across dimensions now, see through any illusion, read minds through chakra fluctuations. Combined with his father's strategic genius, he was possibly the most dangerous information specialist alive. The others had found their roles. Akane in infiltration and recruitment, Kaito in assault operations, Kage as an elite assassin. The second generation was already showing promise, some as young as 10 already on training missions. Shadow Garden's total membership had grown to 500 operatives across all 5 nations and beyond. They had bases in countries most people had never heard of, influence that extended to the continent's edges, and at the center of it all, hidden in shadows, was Shadow. He was 36 now, still maintaining his dead last Naruto Uzumaki persona for public consumption, while running the world's most effective organization from the darkness. His relationships with his inner circle had matured into deep partnerships, love mixed with friendship mixed with shared purpose. Haku was 42, still beautiful, still deadly, still his primary partner. They had 4 children together now, each one a prodigy. Hinata was 36, mother of 5, and had become Shadow Garden's administrative commander. She managed operations, coordinated teams, ensured everything ran smoothly. The others had similar roles, each contributing their unique strengths to the organization while raising the next generation together. It was a family in the truest sense, bound not just by blood, but by shared purpose and genuine affection. On the 20th anniversary of the war's end, Shadow called a gathering of every Shadow Garden operative. 500 people assembled in the massive underground auditorium they'd built beneath Konoha, the largest meeting in the organization's history. Shadow stood on the central platform, the theatrical lighting making his form dramatic and imposing. His children stood behind him, the first generation now adults, the second generation teenagers, the third generation children. 3 generations, his legacy in physical form. 20 years ago, Shadow began, his voice magically amplified. We destroyed the cult of Diablos. We ended a threat that had corrupted this world for centuries. We saved countless lives and created the peace we all enjoy today. 500 operatives listened in absolute silence, their devotion palpable. Shadow Garden was founded on a simple premise. Operate from the shadows to protect the light. Be the power nobody sees, the blade nobody expects, the guardian nobody acknowledges. Shadow's eyes gleamed violet in the dramatic lighting, and we have succeeded beyond my wildest imagination. But our work isn't finished. There will always be threats, always be people who need protection, always be darkness that requires shadows to fight it. He gestured to his children. This is why we've built the next generation, why we've trained them to surpass us, why we've created a legacy that will continue long after the founders are gone. He stepped forward, his presence commanding absolute attention. Today, I'm announcing my retirement from active leadership. Shock rippled through the assembly. Even Alpha looked surprised. He hadn't told anyone about this decision beforehand. I'm not leaving Shadow Garden, Shadow clarified. I'm stepping back from daily operations to let the next generation lead. Yuki will assume command of combat operations. Hikaru will lead intelligence. The others will take leadership roles in their respective divisions. I will remain as advisor, as founder, as the shadowy figure they consult when needed. He smiled his theatrical smile. Because the greatest power is power nobody knows you have, and the greatest leader is one who builds something that doesn't need them to survive. His voice softened slightly. I'm proud of what we've built, proud of each of you, and I'm excited to see what you accomplish when you're no longer following my direct orders, but making your own choices. The assembly erupted in applause, not because they wanted him to step back, but because they understood. This was Shadow's ultimate act, becoming the true Eminence, the shadowy figure of legend who influences from the background but never appears directly. Perfect narrative structure. The transition happened smoothly over the following months. Shadow's children assumed their roles with competence that proved his training effective. They made their own decisions, developed their own strategies, created their own legends, and Shadow watched from the shadows, proud and satisfied. 30 years after the Fourth Great Ninja War, Naruto Uzumaki was 46 years old, gray touching his blonde hair, lines around his eyes from decades of smiling. He'd officially retired from active shinobi duty 5 years ago, claiming his body couldn't handle the stress anymore. It was completely false. His magic compression kept him in peak condition, but it maintained his cover story. He lived quietly in Konoha now, visiting his children and grandchildren regularly. Because yes, he had grandchildren. Yuki had married and given him 3. Hikaru had 2 children of his own. The next generation was already producing the generation after that. Shadow Garden continued operating under his children's leadership, more effective than ever. They'd eliminated every remaining cult remnant, stopped 4 potential wars before they started, and generally maintained global peace through invisible intervention. The world didn't know it owed its continued peace to Shadow Garden. That was the point. On quiet evenings, Shadow, because he still became Shadow sometimes, maintaining the persona even without active missions, would visit Shadow Garden headquarters and watch his descendants train. The 3rd generation were adults now, the 4th generation teenagers, the 5th generation children. 5 generations of Shadow Garden operatives, all descended from him in some way. His legacy was absolute. Haku, now 52 and showing her age gracefully, still accompanied him on these visits. They would stand together on observation balconies, watching their family, because that's what Shadow Garden had become, a massive extended family, and reflect on everything they'd built. Do you ever regret it? Haku asked one evening, the same question she'd asked decades ago. The role-playing, the theatrics, the life you've lived? Shadow considered the question as seriously now as he had then. No, he said finally, because the role-play gave me purpose. It motivated me to become something extraordinary. And yes, I discovered the cult was real all along, that I wasn't fantasizing, but that doesn't change anything. I still chose this path. I still built this legacy. I still became the Eminence in Shadow. Was it worth it? All the battles, the sacrifice, the constant deception? Shadow gestured toward the training yards below, where his great-great-grandchildren practiced techniques he developed decades ago. Look at them, 5 generations of family. Hundreds of people who exist because I chose to play this role. Thousands of lives saved because Shadow Garden exists. A world at peace because we destroyed the cult. He smiled. Yeah, it was worth it. Haku leaned against him, content. They stood in comfortable silence, 2 people who shared a lifetime of adventures, intimacy, purpose. I love you, Haku said softly. More than I've loved anything. Thank you for making me your first follower. Thank you for giving me this life. Thank you for believing in a delusional teenager who thought he could change the world by playing pretend. Shadow's arms wrapped around her. We did it together. All of us. Shadow Garden is everyone's achievement, not just mine. They remained on the balcony until late, watching their legacy continue beneath them. 50 years after the Fourth Great Ninja War, Naruto Uzumaki was 66 years old, his blonde hair completely gray, his body showing age despite magic's preserving effects. He moved slower now, spent most days in quiet contemplation rather than active training. But his mind remained sharp, his power remained absolute, and his legend remained eternal. Shadow Garden had become a global institution now, operating openly in cooperation with all major nations. They were no longer mysterious shadows but recognized protectors, though their methods remained covert and their full capabilities unknown. The cult of Diablos was a historical footnote, studied by scholars but barely remembered by common people. The Fourth Great Ninja War was ancient history to the new generation, a story grandparents told. Peace had lasted half a century, and Shadow could finally rest. He gathered his inner circle one final time. The women who'd shared his life, borne his children, built Shadow Garden beside him. Haku at 72, still beautiful in his eyes. Hinata at 66, her Byakugan as sharp as ever. Karin, Tayuya, Anko, all of them together, aged but vital, the foundation of everything he'd built. "I wanted to thank you," Shadow said, his voice softer now, less theatrical. "For everything, for believing when I was just pretending, for loving me despite knowing I saw life as theater, for giving me family, purpose, legacy." "We should thank you," Haku replied, speaking for all of them. "You saved us, gave us strength, made us matter. Everything we are is because you chose to make your fantasy real." "It stopped being fantasy a long time ago," Shadow admitted. "Maybe it never was. Maybe I was describing truth from the beginning and just didn't realize it. But it doesn't matter now. What matters is what we built, what we accomplished, what we leave behind." They spent that evening reminiscing, remembering their first meetings, their early missions, the battles that defined them. They laughed at old mistakes, honored fallen comrades, celebrated victories both large and small. It was perfect closure. That night, alone in his quarters, Shadow reflected on his life. 66 years old, 50 years since arriving in this world as a reincarnated soul, decades of playing the Eminence in Shadow. Had it been worth it? He looked at the walls covered in photographs, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, hundreds of faces, all family, all loved. He thought about Shadow Garden, now run by the fifth generation of leadership, still protecting the world from shadows. He remembered the cult's destruction, Kaguya's defeat, the peace that followed. Yes, it had been worth everything. He'd achieved the dream, become the power that shaped reality from darkness, the legend that people whispered about, the Eminence in Shadow, and he'd found genuine purpose along the way, real love, true family. The role play had become reality. Reality had validated the role play. The circle was complete. Shadow closed his eyes, content with his life, ready for whatever came next. Epilogue. 75 years after the Fourth Great Ninja War, the Shadow Garden Memorial stood in the center of what was now called Shadow District, a section of Konoha dedicated to honoring the organization that had protected the world for 3/4 of a century. 7 massive statues dominated the memorial, the 7 founders who built Shadow Garden from nothing. Shadow himself stood at the center, his form captured in black stone, hand raised in his signature pose. The inscription beneath read, "The Eminence in Shadow, he who shaped reality from darkness." Alpha stood to his right, the first blade, she who never wavered. Beta, Gamma, Delta, and the others completed the circle, each immortalized for their contributions, and before the statues, an eternal flame burned, tended by Shadow Garden's current generation, the 9th since the organization's founding. The world knew Shadow's story now. His journals, written in old age and released posthumously, had been published, becoming the most read books in history. They detailed everything: the cult of Diablos, the Fourth Great Ninja War, Shadow Garden's secret operations, the truth behind countless lucky coincidences in recent history. The world finally understood who'd been protecting them all along. Naruto Uzumaki had died peacefully at age 91, surrounded by his family, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and beyond. His funeral had been attended by thousands, though most knew him only as a war hero, not as Shadow. But Shadow Garden knew. They'd honored him with a private ceremony, acknowledging their founder's passing with the respect and reverence he deserved. And then they'd continued his work. Because Shadow had built something that transcended any individual. Shadow Garden wasn't about one person, it was about purpose. About protecting the world from darkness. About being the power nobody sees. The 9th generation of leadership stood before the memorial that day, paying their respects to founders they'd never met, but whose legacy defined them. Do you think he knew? One young operative asked her mentor. That Shadow Garden would last this long? That his legend would become history? The mentor, a 6th generation descendant who'd known Shadow in his final years, smiled. He knew. He planned for it. Everything he did was designed to create exactly this, a legacy that would outlive him by centuries, an organization that would continue protecting the world long after he was gone. She gestured to the statue. Shadow understood narrative structure better than anyone. He knew the best stories are the ones that continue even after the protagonist is gone. What was he like, really? Theatrical, dramatic, absolutely convinced he was playing a role even when he was being genuine. But also, she paused, searching for words. Genuinely good. He cared about people, even while pretending not to. He built Shadow Garden not just for his ego, but because he wanted to save others. The role play was real to him, but so was the purpose underneath. They stood in silence, honoring the memory of someone who changed the world from shadows. Somewhere in the afterlife, if such a thing existed in this reality, Shadow looked down on his legacy and smiled his theatrical smile. He'd done it. He'd become exactly what he wanted to be. The Eminence in Shadow, eternal, perfect, forever. The end.
That was the wildest atomic theory yet. If you enjoyed seeing Naruto embrace the true way of the shadow, smash that like button. Do you think Kurama knew the truth? Let me know below. Subscribe and ring the bell for more insane crossover scenarios. Stay tuned for the next master plan.